Live from Fontana, we welcome race fans one and all back to Green Flag TV, where tonight Austin Edstrom and I are bringing you all of the coverage for race number 2 in the High Tide Racing League MF Racing Designs Cup Series. This is the Real Earth Films 250. Hello one and all, and welcome back to the show. My name is Old Rambo, once again with Austin Edstrom beside me in the broadcast booth. We are coming off of one amazing race down the Daytona International Speedway, where Bridger Olson snookered the win on the last lap from Michael Thorpe Jr. in a drag race at the line. And I have to say, I think overall, you take a look at how that race went and the fact that we've got a grid that's almost 25% larger here today at Auto Club Austin, we are looking set for a fantastic season.
Yeah, you're not kidding. I mean, to have this car count after the first race of the season, really good job by the High Tide Racing League here, just to put on a good show in the first week, attract more drivers into their portfolio here. You know, it's pretty nice seeing a big full field going into the second race of the season at Auto Club, one of my favorite racetracks on the entire circuit. Nice 2-mile racetrack, and it's so difficult to get around. You got to utilize the draft. You got to make sure you don't get into that dirty air through the corners. It's just a really important, or it's very important to use all the width of this racetrack and utilize multiple lanes.
Multi-grid racing, that is definitely the big key to success here at the Auto Club Speedway, and it's one that we're going to be seeing, I think, a lot of drivers trying to navigate here in this deal as we try to get ourselves sorted for what will be 125 laps of racing action, 250 miles. It's longer than we usually see. Usually these races are only about 100 laps, 100 laps or 200 miles. Not the case, though, here tonight. So we'll get to all of this and more. For now, though, with nobody on track yet for qualifying, we're going to take a jump back. You're watching the High Tide Racing League MF Racing Designs Cup Series live on Green Flag TV. Welcome back to the High Tide Racing League MF Racing Designs Cup Series, sponsored tonight by Real Earth Films. You just saw some of what they can provide for you over during that little ad break. We do have everybody, though, lined up and ready to go. So here is going to be your starting grid. So we will get set to go racing for 125 laps and 250 miles here tonight. It is going to be the likes of Bridger Olson who will be starting this race up on pole position. You've got Benjamin Lacey starting down on the front row as well. Tristan Maher going to be down in third, with Dalton Kilmer from MFRD Racing in fourth on row number 2. Sean Bray for 75 race will be in 5th with Ethan Moreno down in 6th. Kevin Foster is in 7th with Austin McGill in 8th. Tony Hilbrands and Jonathan Canfield wrap out the top 10 here, Austin.
11th place is going to be the 17 car of Brian Dees. 12th place, Ricky Hart. 13th, Christopher Bassinger. 14th, Richard Holland. 15th is the 6 of Derek Paulson. 16th, Cody Welch. 17th, Ty Morosco. 18th is going to be Paul Wilson. 19th is Cody Williams, and the top 20 is rounded out by the 3 car of Samuel Lawson.
That will just take us now down to 21st place for Curtis Yancey out of Florida. Rick Thompson for Speed Mafia going to be in 22nd for row number 11. Row 12 holds Dawson Guzik making his series debut out of Pennsylvania alongside Michael Thorpe Jr. in 24th. Moving down through the field, you got the 25th place driver of Jason Greenwell out of Michigan. Stephen Hayes for Lone Star Racing going to be in 26th. Alonzo Chicano down to 27th and David Leakey in 28th. Hunter Carson in 29th. Dakota Knoll will wrap out the top 30.
31st is Connor Gibson. 32nd, EJ Luna. 33rd is Eddie Hagi. 34th, Cameron Caldwell. 35th, William Turnbull. 36th, Nick Nickerson. 37th is Mitch Diamond, and rounding out our 38-car field is the 20 car of Adam Kuhn.
This is an absolutely massive field that we have here tonight, and is going to be an absolute barn burner of a show. So far, all bar 2 of these drivers are gridded on up. We are waiting on Nickerson and Kuhn to see if they're going to take to the grid. They will not, so it is going to just be this small group in here to take us down in the round to the green flag for racing action here at the Auto Club Speedway. I can tell you right now, this is going to be something special entirely. This series has proven already that they have got what it takes to be an absolutely fantastic showing. And I can't wait to see what kind of performance we can expect to see from tonight's absolutely stacked race.
Yeah, I don't even think that we get this kind of car count for NIS races, even whenever it splits perfectly. I want to say it's capped at 37. So to see 38 cars here tonight at the Auto Club Speedway is just absolutely fantastic. I mean, I just cannot believe how many drivers we have showing up for this race on a Monday night here. They could be doing the SOF race in A-Open. They could be doing any other kind of racing as the week has just flipped over, especially at a crazy track like Daytona. And they chose to be out here on a Monday night running in the High Tide Racing League at Auto Club Speedway. I just cannot wait to get this race started.
It is going to be a phenomenal race for these drivers indeed. And of course, tonight's race coverage is brought to you by Real Earth Films. You can check out more of what they have to offer, of course, online, as they are one of the guys that help keep all the lights on here at the Auto Club Speedway, and they are tonight's race sponsors. We will get set to go racing for, again, 250 miles. It is a huge bar for these drivers to master with 65% fuel tanks. It is definitely going to be a race of attrition, and it is going to be a race of strategy here tonight. The pace car will lead your field through turn numbers 3 and 4. Thank you for joining us on a Monday night. We enter the Geico restart zone. Green flag is up in the air for the first time. We're racing in Fontana.
Bridger Olsen gets a pretty good jump on the start, but it looks like he's got a little bit of help from Tristan Mayer there in the 26, coming down into turn number 1. Everybody's 2x2, not too much movement until you get to about 15th back in the pack as somebody tries to make it 3 wide going into turn number 1.
An absolutely packed house as we roar through turn numbers 1 and 2. We hit the back straightaway for the first time here this evening as this field, 38 car strong, thunders along. And at the moment, it is looking all clean. Nobody making too many aggressive moves just yet. A lot of shuffling up and down throughout this field. But so far, Olsen, your winner from last week, continues to lead the way up in front.
Yeah, but Benjamin Lacey gets a decent run off of turn number 4, and he's going to have that draft all the way down the front stretch. We can see if he can get a big enough run going into turn number 1. He is closing the gap just a little bit, hair by hair, going into the corner. It doesn't look like he's going to quite get there going into the corner, though, and it's still going to be Bridger Olsen going down into turn number 1 with the lead.
Further down in the pack, you've got Moreno and Kilrow looking to go side by side. They might be going 3 wide with McGill here for that number 3 spot, and it's just going to be tucking in line for Benjamin Lacey, able to scrape up in front of Tom Moreno. And we continue to hightail it down the back straightaway and into turn numbers 3 and 4. This is going to be a race where we go racing well into the dusk. You can already see the lights have flicked on over the Auto Club Speedway. And 3 wide, multiple rows deep further in the pack off of turn number 4.
Yeah, it is a huge gaggle of race cars coming off of turn number 4. We see somebody blinking just a little bit in the back. Nobody's actually struggling from that, though, it seems. Then second place is still Benjamin Lacey. He actually won the battle between himself and Ty Moreno, and Moreno's actually fallen to 4th behind Austin McGill. No, they're side by side coming off the corner, it looks like, coming off of turn number 2.
Working down the back straightaway this time by, still looking clean. You can see a good chunk of this top running have gotten themselves single filed out. We got a couple of cars, it looks like, slipping further down in the field as I believe it'll be Richard Holland now that has just dropped several positions as a result of something that went down on that back straightaway. But it is a gaggle of cars that have been in contact that time by, and I believe that may have been Thorpe getting into Yancey down the front straight through the trial.
Yeah, they're battling hard. They're back from about 10th on back, just nobody giving really any room. And what's so important here is to get that big run off the corner, especially down the backstretch. You can just see how much the draft means to these drivers coming off towards the wall. Everybody's near the wall coming down the backstretch. And if you're stuck on that inside line, you just have absolutely no momentum coming off the corner, and you have no draft. As you see the 25 there coming in the middle, making it 3 wide.
Huge run for Alonso Chicano. He was a driver that was making a lot of speed and a lot of noise at Daytona last week. Of course, he was one of the only drivers that did not finish that race as well, so he's looking for a bit of redemption here tonight from Auto Club Speedway. And so far, I'd say he's doing just fine. He's running up in bottom half of the field, yes, but still up 5 where he started it so far today. And I think so long as the delta response gain is in the green, I think that's good enough.
Yeah, you can see through the last corner and down the front stretch, he was trying to give the 6 car of Paulson a push down the front stretch. Just didn't really work out. Towards the back, big wreck coming off at turn number 2. I can't tell quite what car that is spinning that made the first contact. Somebody else is going hard into the inside wall, and multiple drivers are going to have damage on lap number 5.
Caution is out for the first time. With how all of that was going down, it was only going to be a matter of time as we will be taking ourselves a look at the Green Flag TV replay as complete carnage erupts on the back straightaway. And this is how it all went down. Middle of this pack. Watch Jason Greenwell. They were almost 5 wide off of turn number 2. And there you see them all kind of scrape along. You see Jason Greenwell spinning down to the inside. We might get a glimpse of who it was that rebounded off of the inside wall. Might have been a little bit further back behind here. Tell you what, though, there was a huge cluster of drivers that got collected in this mess.
Yeah, no kidding. It's a little early to be running just quite that hard. 5 wide coming off of any corner at any racetrack is just not going to work out too well. It's possible at Auto Club, but it's definitely not ideal. And we just see multiple drivers get taken out of that early. They were running about 20th to 25th, and there was just not enough room coming off that corner there towards the middle of the racetrack, and a lot of drivers ended up getting damage here early.
I think all things considered, though, it wasn't as bad as we might have thought. Yeah, there's a lot of cars that got collected in this that have a little bit of damage, but I think overall, it's not as many as we thought. I know Haggy, oh man, I changed my mind on that one. A heavy, heavy whack to the outside wall, and that was Mitch Diamond that found the inside wall in that deal. A lot of cars, though, having damage as a result of that mess, but overall, I think when you look at where this race could have been, it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, absolutely. And, with these next-gen cars, you can kind of take a beating and get them fixed up to where it's maybe not necessarily the worst thing in the world to get some damage early. You have plenty of time to fix it. I was actually looking at the 31 car of Richard Holland in that accident. I thought that he was one that was...
Apologies for the brief technical difficulties. Having some gremlins off on the side. Should have them corrected now. But anyways, you were mentioning earlier, right before we had those problems here, Austin, about the kind of the results that could come out of that mess.
Yeah, I'm a little confused. I guess they have a fast repair in this league. I didn't really know about it, but I was talking about Richard Holland in the 31. He came out into or he dodged a wreck, towards the white apron line and swerved hard right, tagged the outside wall, and he ended up coming down hard, just about clobbering the inside wall. I thought he was going to end up having massive damage, he tore that right front fender all to shreds, hitting the outside wall, but he came down pit road, got his fast repair, and he looks to be completely fine. Other drivers seem to have not taken their fast repairs, though. The driver behind him, Eddie Haggy, in 32nd right now, looks like he's still got a little bit of right front damage, but most everybody else looks to have fixed their machine and use their fast repair early. Just kind of a strategy call for some of these guys, to not use their fast repair. Like I said, Eddie Haggy not using it. So I'm a little interested to see if maybe it's a little bit too early for some of these guys to waste their fast repair. Maybe you could have just came down and fixed the damage instead and still run good, at least for the first half of this race, and then maybe used it towards the end whenever you knew you were good. But we'll end up seeing how that plays out here later.
Well, remember, we were expecting this race to be well over an hour and a half, with it being 125 laps long. It's going to be a long race, and thankfully these cautions do allow us to kind of take a look up and down and see some of the new faces coming around. And I think two of the more notable ones, one being Will Turnbull in the number 4 Mustang, running 17th at the moment. More for where he's racing from down under, joining us all the way down from Australia. And it is, it's, I believe, right in the middle of the afternoon kind of for them at the moment. So it's prime time for Turnbull to get some racing in. And a driver that I happen to know as well, Stephen Hayes, running the 88 car. And I actually know him from another series we once broadcasted, the Off-Throttle Sim Series, Xfinity Series. He was a big hitter over in that series as well, in the Xfinity cars. So I'm curious to see how he's going to fare when we get down to Cup Series running.
Yeah, I've seen him run the truck in the Global Racing Truck Series League, and he is typically up front fighting for the win in most of those races. So I'd be excited to see him kind of pick through the field here. He didn't have the qualifying that he probably wanted, but you know, he is a really fast driver, and I could definitely see him making his way towards the front over the course of this event.
Pace car is off. We will once again get set to go green flag racing, this time by into the Geico restart zone. We drop the hammer, and once again, Bridger Olson hightails it up and away, back down towards turn number 1.
Yeah, Bridger Olson actually had the opportunity to go whenever he wanted to on this restart as opposed to the first restart, and he gets an absolutely huge jump over the 7 of Benjamin Lacey. Austin McGill dives to the inside there, 3rd position, side by side with Ty Moreno. We're just going to see if he can come off the corner and clear him before he actually gets to his outside. Looks like he's going to do it, and he's going to be able to give Benjamin Lacey a huge push down the backstretch.
And look at this. The gaggle continues working the back straightaway and in towards turn number 3 from California. It is absolute, again, pandemonium on the restarts here. We got a bit of contact up front as the 7 of Lacey gets pushed up the track, and McGill will send it down to the bottom. He'll drop back to 5th as a result of that now. We cross to lap number 10. But I tell you what, it got feisty there. We're going to go 4 wide again as the run down towards turn 1.
My goodness, that was a smart decision there on the car on the bottom to back out of that race, or back out of that race for about 9th position. Sorry, I'm still learning the paint schemes a little bit in this league, but you know, I mean, they're still 3 wide coming off the corner for 10th place. That's Hillbrand stuck in the middle there with just about no help. Finally, the car behind him dives to help him out just towards the backstretch, get a little bit of a push. He's got a little bit of draft ahead of him. He just needs to make sure he finds a lane where he's got clean air going through the corner. It looks like he does a decent job of that at first, but he actually gets put to the outside by, I believe that is Curtis Yancey on the outside, trying to look there, doesn't quite make it work, and Tony Hillbrands is actually going to hold on to the spot.
Stephen Hayes had to check up a little bit as 51 tracked up across his nose, so Hayes will now look to the top side and trying to get back around Curtis Yancey. Yancey, meanwhile, goes to the inside of the number 92 of Tony Hillbrands. He got the 51, still working the bottom as well. 3 wide once again, working through 1 and 2. And all the while, whoa, bit of a scramble there for the 55 of Sean Britt. Got a bit loose, the Apex Sim Racing number 55 Chevy Camaro, able to tuck it back in line. Olsen under fire for the race lead as well. Moreno to the inside of 3.
Ty Moreno got a huge shove from the 85 of Cody Welch down the backstretch, and he was able to make it side by side with the race leader, and they're still going to come off side by side down the front stretch. He actually opts not to side draft him down the entirety of the front stretch, and they're actually going to go by on his outside. They're lined up way too close for him to find a hole.
That will allow Cody Welch to potentially work his way through to that 2nd position, providing that Moreno will not be able to find his way towards that inside line. But so far, it is looking strong throughout this 2nd bout of green flag running. Moreno working to that middle line. Cody Welch runs the top side. Olsen has now pulled clear once again for the race lead by about half a car length, but it's not going to be very long. Welch trying to do everything he can to set up a run.
Man, Welch is getting a great run through the exit of 3 and 4. He's to the outside of Bridger Olson down the front stretch, and it looks like he's actually going to beat him to the line this lap. We can't tell too well because he's blinking out like crazy, but he does have to lead at the line. Let's see if he can keep it going down into turn number 1. They're still side by side going into the corner.
Trouble for Curtis Yancey. He slapped the outside wall, and the right front is demolished. You can see it is not even turning on his number 51 car. Debris flying off in turn number 1. No debris cautions, though, that we get over here coming around. So we will get a look back. We'll see what happened here. It's the likes of Yancey here coming off of turn number 4 as this was working our way towards the front straightaway. And it was a bit of a hefty whack that 51 car took to the outside wall. There you saw, well, we caught the tail end of it there. We'll back up a bit further, see if we can narrow down what caused this.
We see him coming off the corner here on the outside. I believe that's Austin McGill, and he just gets loose all by himself, overcorrects it into the outside wall. Honestly, does a great job not collecting any other drivers. That's really hard to do, to try to get it off the wall after you pound it like that and not collect anybody else. Stephen Hayes did a great job getting by that without getting any major contact. And we're actually side by side for the lead again, coming off of turn number 2 as Cody Welch is going for the lead once again.
Working the backstretch down in the turn number 3 and 4. Olsen trying to find the bottom. The MF Racing Designs Camaro working it up top. The Star Spangled Chevrolet trying to hang on against the V-Speed Camry down on the bottom. That outside lane, though, you know how to run it? It is all powerful at Auto Club. And Welch looking to establish himself at the front of this field. Olsen, try as he may, he'll fight back inside, but I don't know if he'll be able to keep that momentum going through 1 and 2.
Yeah, Bridger Olsen towards the end of the front stretch was just barely able to get the side draft working towards the end of the straightaway, and just seemed like he was maybe going to get the run going into the corner, and he did, but he just could not clear Cody Welch there on the outside. And they're tight going into turn number 3. They were just about touching going into the corner. That would have been catastrophic for Cody Welch there on the outside, but they're still side by side coming off of turn number 4.
Someone's got to remind these drivers that we still have ourselves over 100 laps of racing left to go. There's no point in juggling yourselves yet. You're on just lap number 16. You're right on board with Ethan Fonseca Moreno, who's got a front row seat to this fierce battle for the race lead as we work our way in towards turn numbers 3 and 4. 1 and 2, excuse me, back around to the back straightaway. And at the moment, Olsen looks to finally lose out to the lead, help tuck in line between Moreno and Welch.
This is one of these racetracks where you've really got to be careful about how hard you're driving those tires. I mean, this track has such high tire wear compared to most of the circuit. Maybe tracks like Darlington or Chicagoland in the past would be a little bit more abrasive, but Auto Club is no slouch whenever it comes to the tire wear. And we can just see that I think Bridger Olsen, maybe a little bit calmer heads prevailing there, just deciding I'm just going to tuck back in line as soon as I get the hole. No reason to kill your tires this early in the race, and it looks like they're racing hard for third place behind him as Benjamin Lacey is looking to the inside of Ty Moreno.
Lacey, Moreno, Britt, Thorpe, McGill, Hayes, all under a blanket, and all looking to fight for positions here, switching and swapping every single lane. No matter which way you look, there's always somebody that's going to be side by side. It's part of why I love big fields. You always get big battles like this, and it is hard to know where to look. Hey, I always say it's better when you have too much action to try to cover than too little. And at the moment, there's definitely too much to cover on the racetrack. We cannot possibly look at everything. It's all eyes up front, though, with this battle for the podium position still raging on, albeit more spots further down, and got some trouble. Will Turnbull has found his way into the infield grass on the front straightaway. We'll jump back up to the leaders as we take a look back at what happened off of turn number 4.
Oh man, just about the same thing we saw earlier from Yancey. Just gets a little bit loose coming off of turn number 4 all by himself. He does a little bit better job, though, not collecting himself into the outside wall, just deciding to bring it through the grass instead. No damage on that race car this early in the run, so he saves his fast repair early, so good job from him being able to keep that car straight. As it looks like Bridger Olsen's coming off side by side with Ty Moreno coming off of turn number 4, and he's actually going to get a push from Sean Britt in the 55 coming down the front stretch. Sean Britt's going to try to take advantage of Ty Moreno here, who doesn't have any help on the outside line going into turn number 1.
Auto Club is a very draft-heavy racetrack, and we're starting to see a lot of the teammate battles picking up here as well. Whoa, Britt pushing up into Moreno there. How about McGill firing around the high side of the number 99? Goes a 2-for-2 special, bit of content behind as Benjamin Lacey gets into Stephen Hayes on the backstretch.
That was an absolute power move from Austin McGill coming through turns number 1 and 2. Looks like Sean Britt's going to try to get him back on the outside of turn number 4, but he pushes just a little bit tight, and that's actually going to open the door back up for Ty Moreno coming off of turn number 4. That side-by-side battle for 4th place is going to allow the 3 leaders to just kind of stretch out their gap a little bit. They're just nose-to-tail pushing. Stephen Hayes tried to make it 3-1 on the outside, but he thinks better of it and checks up, and that causes a huge stack up on the outside line, but everybody's able to make it through clean.
Everybody able to get themselves sorted, and will we ever get a chance where we could calm things down a little bit? I think not. These are racers. Why would they even bother? They don't care about giving us a chance to breathe here at the moment of the broadcast booth. They're going to send it 3 wide instead, down the inside of turn number 3. Got that 7 car, working the bottom of Benjamin Lacey, trying to make something happen. The 22, though. Moreno able to pull clear while Alonso Chicano has quietly worked back into the fray, and he's now looking to power for the high side of Stephen Hayes.
my goodness, there are just 2 and 3 wide battles all throughout this racetrack. The entire pack is on the front stretch as they come out of turn number 4, now diving down deep into turn number 1. Multiple different lanes going down in the corner. Stephen Hayes tried to get to the inside of Sean Britt there for the 4th position. Couldn't quite make it happen, but he does clear Alonso Chicano coming off the corner, and Stephen Hayes gives a bumper to Sean Britt coming off. That's going to kill Stephen Hayes' run and give the 25 of Alonso Chicano and the 34 of Michael Thorpe Jr. the opportunity to get past of him going into turn number 3.
Working our way through turn numbers 3 and 4, and it's looking tight again for Stephen Hayes. He's going to track up and wide and nearly into the back of Michael Thorpe Jr. that time by down the backstretch. You can see a lot of battles further down in this field starting to single file out as drivers are losing touch with the traffic. They try to get themselves single filed out to try to see if they can't maybe get back up to the leading pack where all of the battling is at as it stands. Got the 25 in the mix. Whoa, look out as one car wobbling in the middle of the line and choppers it hard to the outside wall. Big time wreck on the back straightaway. Still looking to lock it down. The field trying to scramble. Look out, and huge hit on the back straightaway. Britt is punted sideways, and somehow we still do not have a yellow flag as they're going to wreck their way on the back straightaway. Now the caution flies, although for a lot of this field, too little, too late.
Oh my goodness, that ended up being such a massive accident after it looked like everybody was going to have it missed. We're going to have to look back at Sean Britt entering turn number 1 because he was wrecking for that the entire corner. In the entirety of turns number 1 and 2, he was sideways. He kind of cut across the 34 cars of Michael Thorpe Jr.'s nose entering turn number 1. Michael really drove it in deep, didn't give Sean Britt the chance to get to the inside line, and actually made contact. And you see coming off at turn number 2, Sean Britt, we're actually going to go back to entering turn 1 where the contact originated. You can just see Sean Britt is trying the entire corner to hang onto that vehicle. He just could not do it. Overcorrects into the outside of number 7 of Benjamin Lacey, and he locks it down really well, stays to the outside, makes sure everybody can go by, but some of the cars in the back just could not react in time. Maybe the 86, we couldn't see from that angle, but maybe somebody pulled down off of the top lane in front of him, and he just maybe had a, kind of a late visual to see Sean Britt going so slow in the racing groove, to be fair. But that's just really unfortunate for all the cars in the back who I feel like probably should have had that wreck missed.
Going to ride on board with Paul Wilson, the driver that slammed into the back of Sean Britt, and we'll see what he saw throughout this mess. I'm sorry, there's no excuse for that in the slightest. He had more than enough time to see that and get around that. And I think he was just distracted on something else that was going on at the time.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think maybe he was looking towards the inside where all the cars were scattering, so maybe his vision was, just turned elsewhere on his screen there. I don't know for sure. I'm trying to make excuses for him because I like to kind of see I don't know. I like to be a little bit lenient with it, but that was a tough one. The guy was very visual, going about 100 miles an hour off the pace right in front of you. Yeah, he's on the racing line, but that was a tough one.
Well, to be fair for Sean Britt, he wasn't in control of his car at that point. He was still trying to pedal that thing as well. Olsen leads the way out of pit road, only 8 seconds in the box. Cody Welch takes 14 seconds as we see everybody else slowly but surely filing their way down and out of the lane for service here. We'll get a couple more looks at that mess once we get through this pit stop cycle, but you can see the running order coming off of pit road. Very mixed bag of calls as to who's taking 4 tires and who's only taking fuel.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised to see so many people take tires. I think we saw a lot of people pit on the first time by too, so maybe the first time by was just a lot of people doing damage repair because we do only have 4 tire sets that we're going to be able to go through here tonight from what I'm looking at the info page. So, maybe a little bit of, I guess it's a long race and they're probably expecting it to get spread out at some point to be able to get a long run, but yeah, I don't know. There's just, that entire wreck was just absolute carnage. Unfortunate for Mitch Diamond there. He was trying to miss it, got into the car in front of him just a little bit, and I imagine he had somebody right on his bumper, his back bumper there going down the back stretch. So whenever he checked up, the guy behind him just had no visual, nowhere to go. As we're riding on board with Stephen Hayes at the outside of Sean Britt here, as Sean Britt goes around. I don't know. It's crazy because we could see that wreck happening for 15 seconds before it actually happened.
It's a weird one, isn't it? You don't often see wrecks like that kind of start way in the background like this. And we'll get another look at this one here. This is onto that back straightaway as, again, just goodness gracious, hefty shot in the outside wall. And Dakota Knoll is the one that got absolutely clobbered by Mitch Diamond there. We'll get a look on board here with the 23. We'll see what Dakota Knoll saw throughout all of this. This is working off of turn number 2 to the back straightaway. You can already see Britt getting into the wall in front, but he can't see it right. So I think this There's just no time to react for something like that when it comes right behind you, and then right there is Mitch Diamond.
Yeah, everybody that was behind the 86 of Paul Wilson, I really do give a pass because they were stuck behind the car in front of them. They could not see through the car in front of them whatsoever, so I don't blame any of those drivers towards the back. I am a little confused with Paul Wilson. Like I said, I feel like he was probably just looking at the car scattering to the left of the racetrack as we get a nice slow-mo here of this absolutely huge hit. Oh my goodness, man. The 86 just about got under the 55, and then the 76 actually does get under the 55 as he comes back down onto all four wheels. We were just about to, the field was just starting to spread out. We were going to be able to calm down a little bit, and now we're re-racking for a restart, and we're going to have to go crazy again.
Working through turn numbers 3 and 4, this time by Bridger Olson and Cody Welch will be the ones to take it to the green flag. The sun is pretty much set over the Auto Club Speedway, and the green flag going to fly once more as we hit that restart zone, and we're up in the air once again from Auto Club Speedway.
A little bit more disorganized towards the front on this restart. Bridger Olson got a really good jump. I want to say the third place driver of Cody Williams just didn't get a good jump there on the restart. Maybe he was in the wrong gear because he was really, really slow on the inside line there from third place. And that's going to allow the leaders to just really pull away here early on this run. I'm kind of surprised to see this big of a jump out of two cars on the lead, but they are going to have no draft whatsoever.
Trouble behind. Jonathan Canfield spinning around on the back straightaways. He'll fight to the inside and just able to maintain that run. Now down all the way to 34th place. That's better than where it could have been, though, as we almost had a repeat of what just happened to Sean Gray.
My goodness. Oh, man, these guys are just not giving any room. As Austin McGill towards the inside grass. He's cutting the grass. He's a lawnmower right now going through the infield. He's going to lose all of his position, all of his track position. He was up towards the top 5, fighting up there for the whole race, and now he's going to drop all the way back down into the mid-20s, maybe into the low 30s.
Well, again, it's better than the alternative, and if I even get a chance here, I'll try to get a look back and see what happened to Canfield here, working out of turn numbers 3 and 4. Well, a bit further back. We'll jump forward a little bit more to this one here. This is going to be coming around. ACM Cyrus on the back straightaway, spins it up. Oh, he did get tipped. But again, I think that is a minor miracle that didn't cause a major pileup.
He's so lucky he didn't go nose first into that inside wall. I mean, getting hit in the rear bumper like that whenever you're trying to save it should absolutely spin that car out, but he did a masterful job holding onto that race car. So great job there from the 16 machine of Canfield. And we have actually got a pretty tight race for the lead coming off of turn number 2. I don't think Cody Welch is going to get to the outside. He doesn't. Bridger Olson throws the block coming off of turn number 2, but Cody Welch is going to be able to have the run on the inside going down into turn number 3.
Into turn number 3, Olson trying to pull clear from that top shelf. Welch still working the bottom, and look how the momentum goes right back in the way of that 0-2 car. Working the top side. Yes, that is a 0-2, by the way. I was informed of that earlier on. You look very closely on the very inside of the 2 there on the bottom left. You'll just see right there, tiny little 0. It's very hidden. But it's there.
Yeah, that's pretty creative. I like it. But as these guys battle side by side, that's going to give the 3rd and 4th place drivers an opportunity to kind of catch up. They've been running side by side for an entire lap now. Can Cody Welch keep that inside line? No, he's actually going to duck back into position number 2, not really fight the position currently. And right behind them in 3rd place, Richard Holland. I was talking about him on that first accident. He went hard into the outside wall, used his fast repair on the first pit stop of the race, and he's worked his way all the way up into P3 after being involved in the first accident.
Might be falling to P4 here as he's looking set to fall back to Tristan Mayer, and as well as that, Welch back to the inside of Olson, trying to make this lunge down to turn number 1. Didn't work the first time. Tell you what, Olson knows how to run that top side because he's got it around him now twice from the top shelf, and Olson will again pull clear to the back straightaway on a great drive for himself. A couple of drivers going side by side. There's been a 3-wide action further behind as Dalton Kilroy will lose 2. Benjamin Lacey caught in the middle.
Yeah, Benjamin Lacey's going to try to dive it back down to the inside here going into turn number 3. He's actually got a little bit of a pinch job there from the car on his outside. I believe that's a 24 of EJ Luna, but he's actually going to have to give up that position. They're going to come side by side off the corner, 3 wide right in front of them.
And trouble for Dawson Guzik, who will take it into the infield grass. He'll rejoin again. Nothing too difficult to get around. Whoa, the 24, the 22 making a bit of contact, though. Got Samuel Lawson in the fray as well, the number 3. He's looking to track to the high side as Lawson bobbles right in front of the 25 Alonso Chicano. Again, fighting it down the back straightaway. These cars are tracking loose right now, particularly among the drivers that didn't take tires on that last stop.
I thought we were about to see the similar accident going into turn number 1 as we saw on the last caution. Ty Moreno really chopped the nose off of EJ Luna going into the corner as EJ really dove it in there hard. Luckily, they were both able to give each other just enough room to not make heavy enough contact to send the 22 around. But the field's a lot more spread out this time than it had been. And I say that, and we've got a good run here, battle for second as Welch has finally gotten past Olsen for the lead. He was hounding him lap after lap, but the rest of the field is really spread out.
Yeah,
at least compared to what we saw earlier. Oh, the contact down the backstretch! I think that was the 34 of Michael Thornton Jr. that was on the inside there of the 6 of Derek Paulson. And it was just a side draft just about gone wrong. I mean, that was really, really aggressive from the driver of the number 34 machine. And he actually takes position going through turns number 3 and 4.
Well, again, these guys don't quite know when to settle down, so that's what's kind of giving us all this great action we got going right now. This is Cody Welch getting around Olsen down for the race lead. This was entering turn numbers 1 and 2. Just established himself and finally made that overtake work through the opening couple of corners. So credit to Welch. He made the bottom work finally after a while of trying. They made Olsen use up his equipment on the high side of the racetrack. Check it down further in the field. Christopher Bassinger was not present at Daytona. Was not certain if he would even be able to make any of the races here. He found himself lucky enough, though, to join us here in Fontana. He's now trying to keep himself up in front of Samuel Lawson.
Yeah, right in front of them, we see the 86 of Paul Wilson. Good recovery drive from him after we obviously saw him go nose deep into the 55 of Sean Britt on the backstretch on the last caution. He's worked his way back up into the 16th position, now 15th, as he's trying to get to the inside of Kevin Foster coming off of turn number 2. Foster keeps that run down the backstretch, though. He's able to have that high side momentum coming off of the corner. He's got no challenge from behind. It doesn't look like the 86 is actually going to be able to get there to challenge him as he sets his sights forward to Benjamin Lacey and Ty Morosco.
Whoa, the 25 of Chicano with an almighty Hail Mary around the top side, pulling the Larson line. He'll pick up 2 around the high sides of 3 and 4. Chops down now in front of Luna and Lacey, and now Luna blocking Benjamin Lacey up towards the high side wall.
Luna being extra aggressive here as he see Alonzo Chicano go up into the 9th position. EJ Luna's actually going to get back to his inside, going through turns number 1 and 2. Can he find a hole? Can he side draft Chicano back? He decides to actually give Chicano the lane, not press the issue too hard, and just fall back into line for the 10th place position.
3 wide, deeper in the field as well. Ricky Hart Jr., Dakota Knoll, Cody Williams, all running the line of stern. Sorry, not Cody Williams. That's the 17 of Brian Dees that's running in this little pack here as well. They got a lot of battle. This is down for 22nd down through 24th, so all the way up and down throughout this field, you've got battles on for positions. Like I said, you don't know where to look, so we try to give everybody their dues here on Green Flag TV, but I can tell you right now, a lot of the main battling is within the last spots in and around the top 10.
Yeah, no kidding. We just got a big gaggle of cars for about 10th place on back. Everybody, man, sideways. The one car's going into the wall. He gets turned by the 14 coming down the racetrack. Both of them go towards the inside fence. Nobody hits anything, though. The caution does come out. Great job from both drivers to not hit either the outside or inside wall there and cause more damage to those vehicles.
What a save for Ty Morasco there, spinning it down the inside. Goes for a 360 slide. Slammed the outside wall, yes, but able to wrestle that car back underneath it. We'll take a look on board with Morasco here as this was working on down into turn numbers 1 and 2.
You can see from his cockpit view here coming down through turns 1, entering turn number 2. He's just on the outside here trying to find the hole. The 6 gets a little bit loose in front of him. He gets, oh man, he just puts himself in the wall a little bit there from that perspective and comes down the racetrack to collect the 14 machine. Great job from both guys. I mean, that looked like Michael McDowell at Bristol Dirt, just doing a little 360 down on the infield, making sure that he doesn't hit anything. So great job from the driver of the 1 machine, not making that any worse than it could have been.
Man, no contact. He just, that is completely self-inflicted, which is not something you see very often in Cup car racing here, but it's definitely possible when you're in a bit of a battle like that. You kind of lose track on where your car and everybody else's car is. Want to give a shout out first off to the folks that are watching this here on Green Flag TV. We have hit a peak of 33. Now, Austin, you and I, of course, had a new best audience for the Beer League just last week. While that has already surpassed it, we're not even halfway through. So this is absolutely legendary. We want to thank every one of you for taking the time to join us here for some absolutely incredible Monday night racing. A lot of folks, meanwhile, are in a pit road.
Yeah, I think a lot of that viewership comes from the fact that we're racing at such an amazing track at Auto Club Speedway, and we've been seeing some awesome daring moves from the entire field. I actually want to offer an apology to Ethan Moreno. I've been calling him Ty Moreno this entire race for whatever reason, so I wanted to apologize to him while we have a little bit of an opportunity under this caution. And this is kind of where we're going to start seeing a little bit of split decision on the tire strategies coming in. You know, we saw some people pit on the last pit stop. Obviously, we saw some people who were a little damaged on the first come down, maybe take tires, maybe didn't. So we're starting to see a little bit of tire strategy here throughout the field that can really shake up the final running order towards the end of this race.
Saw Austin McGill trying to make his pit box, missed it. Instead of backing up, he will opt to take it back out on the racetrack. But we are under now yellow flag number 3 from the Real Earth Films 250 over here at the Auto Club Speedway. And Real Earth Films, of course, making they take absolutely incredible photography. So tell you what, we're under caution. We got some time. Why don't we take a look and see what kind of work they can provide for you. That is some of the work there that Real Earth Films can provide for you. Proud sponsors of the High Tide Racing League, Emma Brayson Designs Cup Series for the Real Earth Films 250 down at the Auto Club Speedway. We are coming to the conclusion of yellow flag number 3. Tristan Mayer has taken up the race lead. Everybody inside the top 7, so Mayer, Hayes, Olsen, Thorpe, Luna, Canfield, and Hart have all not pitted. And we'll be seeing what kind of chaos that's going to create here on the restart.
Yeah, I love seeing tire strategy come into play. We get to see some new faces up towards the front of the field. We get to see if the 8th place driver of Cody Welch can make those new tires work as well as he did towards the previous restarts as we come back to the green flag. Looks like it's going to be Tristan Mayer leading us off from the pole position on this restart. He doesn't get a great restart, though. Stephen Hayes is just about able to keep it to his outside through the restart zone to the start-finish line, but he does clear him going into the corner. But Stephen Hayes is hot on his tail going into turn number 1 as Bridger Olsen falls back into line behind Stephen Hayes.
Top 4 breakaway, 5th place on back on a side-by-side battle. I think that was the 12 there. So the 34, Michael North Jr., that just got punted down to the turn number 1, telling them to get going. We're losing time here, and there was the 28, sorry. As you'll see, the 85 of Welch look to the inside. EJ Luna in the fray as well. We get set to close out the first 40 laps as we're again 3 wide in the 86, pinching up the 21 off of turn number 4.
Just absolutely mental racing on these restarts as we see Hilbrands on the inside of the 16. I believe that is Canfield on the outside of the 7. I mean, everybody's just racing so hard towards the middle part of this race. We're not even halfway yet, and these people are going absolutely crazy on the restarts, trying to get all they can on the new tires, making sure that they can get every little bit of track position as they can, hoping that they finally get the green flag run that they want as soon as they put on the tires. Of course, everybody in the top 7's not wanting to see that, but the third, DJ Luna goes around, entering turn number 3. He collects another driver, going hard into the outside wall, and then, another 2 cars pile up heavy into the corner. That's the 3 machine. Oh my goodness, the 3, that's Samuel Lawson that just went hard in the back of EJ Luna, and the 83 machine of Jason Greenwell also going hard into the back of him. I believe he's already used his fast repair, so that might put the 83 out of the race.
Caution flag number 4, and it comes in the form of EJ Luna being turned to the outside wall. Whoa, by Cody Welch. There was contact heavy shot into that outside barrier, and then right there is Canfield and the 3 that both went in full speed. Who was the driver that that Luna got into? Well, there you see Welch spinning them around, and it was the 28 that got up and into that outside wall.
Yeah, and the 28 of Ricky Hart Jr. has heavy left front damage. He's absolutely going to have to come down pit road to get that machine repaired up. I do believe that he was one of the drivers that stayed out on the last restart, if I'm not mistaken, so he might have the extra set that he needs to not really lose the tires on this one, so maybe not too bad. But I really want to see going into turn number 3 here, did EJ Luna come down and enter the corner a little bit early, or was the 85 machine there, the 85, was he just a little bit too high and didn't turn down into the corner of Cody Welch?
Oh, he came up. That tells the story right there. And heavy shot into that wall, and then bang! Nowhere for the number 3 of Samuel Lawson to go.
So unfortunate for those drivers towards the back of the pack. I guess they just thought that the wreck was going to eventually drift down the racetrack. They put it towards the outside wall, hoping that EJ Luna would come down the racetrack. I mean, you look at Samuel Lawson, he really couldn't see it until the last second. His vision was blocked entering the corner. He was just committed to the outside line. I imagine it was a similar story for the 83 machine. So you just hate to see it for those guys get taken out early. I hope that both of them have fast repairs, but I believe at least one of them doesn't have their fast repair left.
Well, by the time you get to that point as well, right, you are fully committed. There's absolutely no way that you can get around this. And, again, you'll take a look at this heavy shot. There's Canfield, and there's the 3, and goodness gracious. Well, if you wanted to look at what the under tray of a stock car looks like, just ask the number 3 car. I'm sure he would be more than happy to tell you what that looked like, as he got a front row seat on the underside of EJ Luna. But caution flying number 4. That's our I'm surprised we've now had 2 incidents that have seen a car picked up on the back wheels like that. It's really reminiscent of if I had a nickel for every time this happened, I'd have 2 nickels. It's not a lot, but it's strange that it's happened twice.
I actually believe, I was wrong about the 83. I believe Jason Greenwell was in that first accident, but he had actually chosen not to use his fast repair, so he did a good job saving it early, so he's actually back on the racetrack. Same with Samuel Lawson, so good job from those guys not burning their fast repair early. I mean, I say that. This is still relatively early, and they're having to burn it, but I really just don't think that they had anything going on with that accident. They just hard committed to the outside line. The guys in front of them had just turned left entering the corner whenever, obviously they were committed to the outside. And there was just really nothing they could do. They did not see that until the absolute last minute. Sean Britt just gets turned. Who are we on board with right there?
That's Guzek that we're on board with. So we've had a secondary incident here. Hello, I thought this was Greenwell, but we've had a completely separate incident here in turn number 4.
Yeah, the 44 just looked like he drove in and just didn't slow down for the accident as much as the rest of the drivers. I don't know. It just looked like he kept going a little bit harder. I mean, Sean Britt is obviously slowing down for the wreck.
Oh, man.
Man, that's just...
a car in front of him as well. Welch was sideways.
Man. A couple big hits throughout the field that we didn't see on the first couple run-throughs. I mean, what in the world?
What even happened here? That's my big question. I mean, what are we... I'm trying to figure this out. Sean Britt, you see him right up there. He's coming down across this man. See the side. There, Welch gets punted sideways, and there's the 55 going around. And that's, there you see the 12 getting involved. So, wow, we didn't see this the first time around.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fast repairs taken. Cody Williams in the 12 there came in late. Like I mentioned, though, the 44 of Dawson Guzik just kind of drove into the back of Sean Britt there going through the corner. Everybody else is slowing down for the accident. There's still people wrecking on the inside line throughout the rest of that. I mean, maybe we can get a good view here from the 83 way ahead. I don't know. I think the 44 was just a little overeager there on the caution. Didn't quite get out of the gas as early as Sean Britt was. And, Sean was holding a pretty steady line coming through the corner there. It wasn't like he was doing anything crazy. So I hate to say that see that for the guys in the back.
Well, wild things can happen at Auto Club Speedway. We'll jump back to live pictures. Green flag is back up in the air, and we are back underway. Michael Thorpe Jr. hightailing it away. Olsen and Welch remain double file. I'm surprised Welch has been able to maintain this run after being spun around there for that caution flag. And he's now looking for the lead down to turn 1.
My goodness, what a power move going down into the bottom of turn number 1 on the restart, trying to get to the inside of Michael Thorpe Jr. I don't think he's going to have the run coming off the corner, as Bridger Olsen's actually going to be able to get to his outside and keep the momentum going down the backstretch of the entirety of the backstretch. Going down into turn number 3, it looks like the 85 of Cody Welch is just going to have to forfeit the position, but no, he dives it in down to the bottom. They're 3 wide for the lead, coming down through turns 3 and 4.
Oh, that's going to get tight as we rocket off of turn number 4 to the front straightaway. Olsen trapped in the middle. He got the number 34 of Thorpe on the top, and Olsen, the one that's having to bail. We got Canfield into the infield grass, spinning around. Caution number 5, as Canfield will spin it way to the inside line, and looks to be a much calmer incident this time on the front straightaway.
Yeah, no kidding. You say calm, but I ran out of breath on that call right there. I couldn't believe that the 85 of Cody Welch was able to make it 3 wide there on the bottom of turn 3 and 4. It looked like he had lost all momentum going down the backstretch. It looked like Bridger Olsen was just going to easily be able to clear him going into the corner. But I do think that the 85 of Cody Welch is on the freshest tires towards the front of the field. I'll have to check on the 34 of Michael Thorpe, though.
And we saw the 16 of Canfield getting spun into the infield grass. We'll get another look at this one here, as he's got the 23 flying up on him. See, Canfield got into the wall, and then 23 of Hill just couldn't check up in time. I guess he kind of saw him weaving around, so he couldn't check up in time, just didn't know where to go, and that's what spins Canfield into the infield grass for a single car spin.
Yeah, that's a tough thing to do too. You know, going down the front stretch, you see that nobody's spinning. You know, the caution's not going to come out from somebody just tagging the wall and staying straight. So, you know, maybe you could kind of argue that he was just trying to stay in the gas, because you really don't want to break momentum going down the front stretch or the back stretch here. I mean, you don't want to break momentum anywhere going around a big 2-mile racetrack like Auto Club, like Michigan. So you just kind of have to stay in the throttle and hope you don't hit the guy, I guess, if they make a mistake. But obviously he did not get off the gas to kind of give Canfield any break there going out of turn number 4, as we see a couple of the leaders come down pit road.
Thorpe, Olsen, Dees, Mayer, Canfield, Thompson, Luna, and Turnbull all down and into pit road. So they are going to work their way through. It's looking for the most part like fuel only on these pit stops here. Can't say I'm terribly surprised. Just get yourself topped up on fuel. You mentioned 65% fuel tank limitation. I think that brings up another good point now of at what point are you good to go to the end of the race? Because that's going to, I think, play very heavily right now into the pit strategies that we're seeing pan out.
I want to say we have roughly 25 to 29 laps in the tank. I can't give an absolutely accurate number on that, but I know it's somewhere in that range. So, I mean, we're definitely not good to go to the end of this race from this point. I mean, if we can somehow make it, if they somehow push it to 30 laps on the restart, and we restart on lap number 48, you know, that pushes it to 78, but then you still have to pit one more time. So I don't necessarily know if the fuel only works too well, but I do know a couple of these guys that came down right there had been on the oldest tires, and I know they didn't take tires, but that also means that they had run down their fuel mileage lower than everybody else. So maybe they just wanted to get that fuel advantage back on the rest of the field. I'm just a little surprised to see people coming down and not taking tires this early in the race.
Well, to be fair, the last few runs we haven't really gone long enough where tires have even gotten up to temperature, let alone worn down at all.
That's a great point. I guess I didn't really think about that. I mean, yeah, I guess you probably don't have too much wear on the tires, but for people like Michael Thorpe, you know, he was in the lead handily, but I guess he had run about half of his fuel tank out, right? He had been about 15 laps since he had last seen pit road, my goodness. But there had been a couple caution laps sprinkled in there, so he could have been doing some fuel saving. So it just kind of sucks to see him give up that track position, and he's going to be on worse tires than the rest of the field, so I just don't know if he's actually going to be able to go anywhere.
I think the folks at home can already tell my voice getting a little bit more rattly here. I just came all the way from the Pro Car Concepts Road Challenge Series, LMP3s and GT4s at Road America. 1 hour sprint race there, and it was something else entirely. And now I have to come over. I say have to. It's I love the fact that I'm able to come on down here and call a series like this back to back. But oh boy, it does a number on your voice when you get 2 fantastic races back to back from 2 different disciplines as well. So you get a little bit of everything on Monday nights here on Green Flag TV, and we're going to see Welch take things up as the race leader on the inside, and you've got Ethan Fonseca Moreno running that high side still. At this point, I'm not even able to make any predictions as to how this race is going to go. I think we're well past the point where any predictions would have gone out the window. Yeah,
I mean, I think we could maybe pick a couple favorites out, I guess. The 02 of Bridger Olsen.
No, I'm not touching
85.
out of the 10 football. My competitive scores have been horrid lately.
The 85 of Cody Welch. Well, then, yeah, you don't want to curse anybody, but there's a couple guys that I kind of think are a little bit faster than the rest, but it could just come down to strategy.
Green flag back up in the air, still at 33 out of 38 runners on the lead lap. Welsh already well clear as he work down that front straightaway in towards turns 1 and 2. Hilbrands and Moreno run side by side for second and third.
21 of Caldwell is going to come off the corner number 2, trying to get to the outside of Hilbrands there for the third position. Looks like he's just going to give a huge push to the 22 of Ethan Moreno coming down the backstretch. Just about clear. Hilbrands going into the corner. Can Hilbrands dive it in deep to try to challenge that position back? Looks like he's going to do it. They're just about side by side. The 21 gets just a little bit tight through the center of the corner, but he's going to have a massive run going down the front stretch, even though they're side by side. He's got a little bit of help as Sean Britt hits the wall towards the back.
Sean Britt.
That's Paul Wilson.
Paul Wilson, you are correct, tagging that outside wall as we work down that front straightaway. Still not even at halfway, and these guys still racing it out as if every lap is the last one. It's the aggression that we love to see up in the commentator's booth, but it makes everybody down on the racetrack sweat bullets every single lap. We're running hard to the outside wall. In the background, the 44 just got turned heavily into the outside wall, so Guzik goes around. And I believe he got Turnbull as well caught up in this mess.
Yeah, it seems that, the race towards the front has kind of calmed down a little bit for the most part, but everything from about 20th on back has just kind of, the intensity has ratcheted up a bit. Wow, he just got loose all by himself. We've seen that a couple times coming off of turn number 4. Unfortunate for the 4 machine there of Will Turnbull. I mean, he had nowhere to go. He had nothing to do with that. We saw him save it coming off of turn number 4 and just go through the grass earlier, able to keep that car straight and not have to take a fast repair earlier. So, hopefully he's still got that sitting in his back pocket so that he can use it now and, still be running towards the end of this race. But just kind of unfortunate to be stuck in that position where someone loses it right in front of you.
Caution flag number 5 on the Speedway. We're going to take a quick jump back. You're watching the Real Earth Films 250 from the High Tide Racing League MF Racing Designs Cup Series on Green Flag TV. We'll be back in a few.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Working through turn numbers 3 and 4 on lap number 53. We are about 10 laps shy of halfway. You're watching the Real Earth Films 250 live on Green Flag TV from the High Tide Racing League Emma Racing Designs Cup Series. My name is Nolan Rempel, along with Austin Edstrom, and we're getting set to go back to Green Flag Racing after caution flag number 5. Pace car is into pit road, and we'll end our 6th yellow flag as we take it to green for lap 54.
And we actually saw Cody Welch take the outside on this restart. That's the first time we've seen that all night. And that gives the 4th place driver of Lacey in the 7 car. Benjamin Lacey there gets a huge jump with Cody Welch going down into turn number 1, and he's going to clear for 2nd place.
These drivers once again working their way to get back up to speed. And so far, you still have a lot of this field running on the racetrack. I believe still got 34 cars total in play tonight. The bottom 4, well, the bottom 1 has never even started this race, but the bottom 3 have all been knocked out of competition as a result of all the carnage we've seen over the last several laps. But now we're seeing a lot of these drivers starting to pick the aggression up. But I think part of this is because of this string of cautions we've seen, right? Every time you get a yellow flag, you want to be that much more aggressive, right? Because you don't want to end up running behind somebody for a bunch of laps when you know you have the speed to get around them. So you're more liable to make that move earlier.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of the accidents be towards the back of the pack, so you really want to be in about the top 15 to try to avoid all the mayhem, probably a little bit higher than that. As I say that, somebody in the top 10, I think that's Eddie Haggy, goes down to the inside line, gets a little bit loose coming off of turn number 2. I couldn't tell if there was contact earlier in that corner or not that sent him down there, but he's going to drop down through the running order down to about the 12th, maybe 13th place as the 34 of Thorpe Jr. gets to his outside.
Michael Thorpe Jr. was one of the drivers that was looking to be taking that race win from Daytona in the last few laps. He was leading the pack of cars that was closing in on Olsen and one of his other teammates that was running up there near the front in the closing laps. Of course, while Thorpe did make the move, Olsen got him right back on the final lap on the back straightaway to make the move into turn number 3, and now, unfortunately, sees himself relegated back to the number 12 spot. So we're hoping we'll be seeing him fighting it back up towards the front of this field a bit further down the line. But for now, you see all this single file running further up the road. This is everybody just trying to, I think, survive at this point and set themselves up for moves further on in the run.
Yeah, you mentioned the single file, but they just kind of fanned out going down into turn number 3. That's Ethan Moreno towards the inside of Cameron Caldwell for the 2nd position. He just about makes contacts coming out of the corner, and he's actually not going to get to him just about. He's actually going to side draft back up towards the top, trying to get to his rear quarter panel, going down into the corner, get a big run. Little bit of an arc going down into turn number 1, try to clear the 21 and slide back up in front by the time they get off of corner exit. Can he do it? Can he find a hole? He does, just off of the corner. He's going to take the high side and P2 from Cameron Caldwell.
Only just, though, as Caldwell had to pedal it off of turn number 2 in order to avoid running over into the back of Fonseca Moreno. And now Moreno looking for the inside of Welch. Cody Welch has been under fire a lot this race. He has so far managed to weather the storm. Can he weather this one as he's pitched up towards the outside wall? Sideways and still crossed up on the front stretch. Just able to get that 85 car wrestle back underneath him.
I thought Cameron Caldwell was going to have a huge run through the front stretch, but he just couldn't make the move going down into the corner. That's going to open up the door for the 86 of Paul Wilson. We saw him getting to the outside wall in the last restart. Now he's back up, fighting for the 3rd position, trying to get to the back of Cody Welch for 2nd.
Oh, got trouble behind. A lot of cars going around. McGill spinning around middle of the pack. He's going to spin it down to the inside. We got the big one in the back straightaway. And the 99 of McGill just got absolutely clotheslined down the back stretch.
We saw Hilbrand spin towards the inside. 28 of Ricky Hart Jr. down, stopped on the inside apron. I couldn't quite tell what kicked that off. It looked like Austin McGill got sideways. I just don't know if it was all on him or not. I don't know if he had contact. We're going to have to look back at the replay to see quite what happened.
Good grief, as it has been non-stop mayhem here in this one, and we will we'll continue to try to jump back and get a look. This is all the way back from the restart, though, so not sure if we'll be able to. We've had some more tech problems behind the scenes as our timing software is not cooperating with its event recorder here in this one. So we will we'll jump back. We'll try to get your replay, though, by the time you return. Welcome back. You're taking a look at the replay of what just happened. This is Austin McGill coming off of turn number 4. Watch as he's just going to loop the back end all by his lonesome. Slams the outside wall. He is going to then get drilled here by the 26 car. And all of this causes that massive, massive melee that we saw. You see everybody spinning on now further up the road as we worked our way around through the back straightaway. And unfortunately, that's the best we're going to be able to get for you. As again, we've had the behind-the-scenes programming here has not been very cooperative to us here so far. But we're working with the best we got, and we're working to bring you still every single lap live under green. And Moreno chooses the inside for the restart, and it'll be pretty much at halfway when we're taking this green flag once again.
Yeah, you mentioned the 26 coming in there really late, hitting Austin McGill. That was just another one of those situations. I know we don't have the replay of it due to our production software there, but you know, I could tell you from my point of view after going back and looking at the replay on my end, the 26 really just kind of got screwed over by the car in front of him being late to dodge. It was another one of those vision issues where you just can't see in front of the car in front of you, and he really had nowhere to go. He couldn't see that there was a car stopped in the racing line again. And that's one of the hard things too, right? If somebody stopped up against the outside wall on the exit of turn number 2 or down the backstretch and other guys are running their normal racing line coming off of that corner, it's just so hard for the guys behind to know that, hey, there's a car stopped in the racing groove. So, it sucks for Austin McGill, right? He ended up having to tow because the damage was so bad, so he couldn't even use the fast repair, and not lose a lap. So he's going to be a couple laps down after he gets the tow, after he gets the new tires. So unfortunate for McGill, unfortunate for a couple of these guys, maybe having to burn some more fast repairs. I believe the 28 of Ricky Hart Jr. had already used a fast repair, so now he's a lap down after getting some, or actually he's got his lap back. Sorry, our scoring was a little off, but I do believe he might be a little damaged because I think he used his fast repair already.
Yeah, a lot of drivers have by now used their fast repair as a result of all of the melee that we've had. This is caution flag number 7 we are coming to a close on now. As the pace car pulls down and into pit road. Green flag will drop this time by. We once again hightail it up and away, and this time the race leader Moreno is a huge shove from Caldwell in that number 2 spot.
And we have a bunch of different contenders up towards the front of the field. A couple of our leaders pitted, a couple of our leaders stayed out. Eddie Haggy there on the inside for P3 of Paul Wilson. We saw him make a huge mistake earlier and drop back to about the 12th position, and he finds himself in a side-by-side battle for 3rd, but he's actually going to duck back into line for 4th place on the outside line coming off of turn number 2.
Yeah, that yellow flag was a lifesaver for Hag. He was able to reset and kind of gather himself back up and regain that composure, and now finds himself running for spots inside the top 5, trying to go for the podium positions. But still a long way left to go in this race. We just now hit that halfway mark, and Welch into pit, spinning down to the inside, and that's yellow flag number 8 now. And the distance between cautions seems to be getting shorter and shorter, as that time it was Welch that gets spun around towards the tail end of the field.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of left front damage. I think he had just put on tires. Oh man, Dalton Kilroe might have just come down the racetrack just a little bit on the exit of the corner. I don't know, he was holding his line pretty well. Maybe Cody Welch was just coming up a little early. We're gonna see, yeah, Cody Welch actually comes up the racetrack. Just kind of lazy spin coming off the corner. He locks it down, does end up tapping the inside wall just a little bit and causing a little bit of damage. So, he's going to either have to get that fixed by a couple of seconds in the pit road or just use his fast repair. I believe he still got his. So I kind of feel bad because you were talking about the commentator curse, and I put him as one of my favorites. And immediately after that, for the next caution, he spins out. So
I told you it was a bad idea. I did
I should have
warn
known
you.
better. I should have known better. I feel bad.
For reference, why I knew that was a bad idea, this past Saturday, the TNGGIL Truck Series, they had a 210-lap race at Martinsville Speedway. 4 separate occasions, I tried to interview a driver mid-race, and every single time, they were the cause of the next yellow flag within the first 5 laps, without fail.
Oh my goodness!
Like,
you were
what are the
luck.
odds? Like, I don't. Like, it's at the point where it's like they're doing it. They have to be doing it on purpose. There's no way.
They just know. They're like, okay, he's talking about me. He's talking to me. I'm going to spin out right now. Just make him look really bad. But, I mentioned our front runners are just a little different. We actually saw our leader come down pit road this time by, or last time by. I believe that was, I'm trying to scroll back to see who it was. It was the 22 machine of Ethan. Ethan something. God bless. I'm sorry. I still don't know the names and the paint schemes in this series.
Ethan Moreno?
But our leader did pit. There, thank you. My goodness. Ethan Moreno came down pit road. A couple other guys came down. See, it's just race number 2. You're going to have to give me just a couple races, but nonetheless, this race, whenever it runs green, it has been so exciting. There's been so much passing for the lead, for second, for third, all throughout the racetrack. We're seeing 3, 4 wide everywhere, but the last 30 laps have just kind of turned into a caution fest. I don't quite know what's happening. It's the middle portion of the race where you would expect maybe a little bit more give, right? You would think that maybe there would be a little bit less take throughout the field, a couple less dive bombs, people just being a little bit nicer to each other. But for some reason, since about lap 30, 35, we've just been seeing people go balls to the wall and just really not care about anybody else. A couple little minor mistakes causing major incidents. And, I really hope that we can end up getting this to run green. It actually looks like Ethan Moreno didn't come down pit road. He was blinked out for me at some point, so I couldn't click on him for first place. So, I couldn't even remember his name, and he didn't come down pit road. So I'm doing a great job up here in the booth right now, guys.
Well, you know how the old adage goes. You give an inch, you take a mile, right? And I think that's something that all of these racers so far are definitely growing more and more experienced with. We are just past halfway. It'll be 60 laps to go when we take to the green flag here. Green flag fell about 1 hour ago, so this is looking to be about if things continue in this manner, about a 2-hour-long race on the dot. But we're hoping, of course, it'll get cleaned up and we could we'll be able to get some clean green flag running in here. I do still believe we will need to make at least one pit stop before the end of this race on fuel. I don't think you can make it more than about 30 to 40 laps or so on the 65% fuel tank limitations. But that said, I'm not a strategist, and I just came from a road course series where the fuel tanks work very differently. So what would I know?
I believe if you pitted on this caution, if you save heavily, you can make it on one more stop. Whenever I jumped into the car, it told me it was about 28.5 laps of estimate. I don't know exactly how accurate iRacing's little fuel mileage calculator is there without running any laps. So it could be a little bit less, a little bit more. If you can push it to 30 laps, you can make it on one more stop. But I just don't think that's really possible unless you just heavy save for both runs. And you're going to need the draft for both runs to do that. So I think we're still looking at a 2-stop race through the rest of this event. We do have, 60 laps remaining. We're just a little bit over halfway. I do think it's going to clean up at some point. And I think as soon as we get about 15, 20 laps on a restart, it's going to string out really well to where we can get that kind of long green flag run that we're really searching for.
Well, fingers crossed. We'll see if this will be the time. We'll work our way out of turn number 4. And once again, Ethan Fonseca Moreno will give us our restart here. This one pace car is into pit road. 60 laps now the distance. In the Real Earth Films 250, the High Tide Racing League and Racing Designs Cup Series. Green flag is back up and in the air.
We've seen our leader get good jumps just about the entire night, almost always clear the second place driver. This time it was Cameron Caldwell on the outside who gets cleared going down into turn number 1. He runs a little bit higher line through the entry of the corner, just a little bit snappy loose, just about gives the opportunity to Paul Wilson there to kind of make a move towards the inside, but it just doesn't happen, and they're all going to be single file 1 through 3, and our first side-by-side battle is going to be for the 4th place position between Eddie Hagee and Michael Thorpe Jr.
Thorpe going to look to the inside of Wilson here, as Paul Wilson going to look to slide further back. We've got cars at the outside wall, the big crash again, coming around in turn numbers 3 and 4. Again, we don't make it more than a lap, as this time Kevin Foster, Connor Gibson, Turnbull, and Welch again collected, and Cody Welch has gone from bad to worse, and unfortunately, luckily it looks like he is still more or less sorted, but it's not the way he wanted to have his race go. We spent so much time fighting it up at the front as, whoa, there you see the 8 getting tipped around, and
oh my goodness.
Cow.
We had a Beyblade fly up into the sky there at the 8 machine. My goodness. I couldn't quite tell if he came down on Stephen Hayes down there in the 88 through the middle of the corner. I would have to have another look at it back here. This is a little bit further back, looking at the 4 machine coming through. Is that the 4? That's a 9, actually.
Kevin
the 9 in that green car. That was a weird little font there that kind of threw me off, but we're going to look here down at the bottom. That's Stephen Hayes towards the inside. They're 3 wide going into the corner. Stephen Hayes really just didn't turn into the corner, I don't think. It looked like the 8 was starting to come. My goodness, what an amazing visual. I love your slow-mo, by the way. It looks absolutely amazing every time you do it. I mean, that was so photogenic there from the 8 machine, just flying around in a circle. And those are 2 Texas drivers getting into it, going into turn number 3 there on the bottom.
Well, I'll give these guys credit. While, yes, there's been a lot of wrecks, at least they've been spectacular. It's go big or go home, it would appear in HTRL tonight.
We need a car in the sky counter. I think we're nearing 3, 4,
right?
maybe 5 cars flying up into the sky here tonight so far, and we're only a little bit past halfway through this race. So kind of crazy to just see so many major accidents, man. But I mean, it is a 38-car field, so I guess you can kind of expect it. I imagine a lot of these guys are starting to get a little frustrated, though, right? From the broadcast booth, you really want to see the green flag runs and see the racing happen, especially at a track like this where you have so many lanes. But especially as a driver, you really hate just riding around on the pace laps. Especially whenever it started out so clean and green towards the beginning of this race. It looked like we were going to get some good runs, and ever since, like I said, about lap 30, 35, there's just been a little bit less room given, and I just feel like there needs to be a little bit more give here towards the middle of the run.
Oh, Sean Britt had to jump on the binders, and he only just barely managed to get around this deal. We'll ride on board the number 55 now, entering turn numbers 3 and 4, and hang on, sees the mess in front, jams on the brakes, and just able to squeak through.
I feel like Sean Britt's been in the middle of just about everything. Whether he's the one involved in the wreck from the beginning or making a great save through the middle of the wreck or just a good wreck avoidance, as we look now on board with the 85 of Cody Welch. Goes all the way through the grass. Does a really good job there. That was a very smart play, just taking the 1X. No harm, no foul there. Who cares about 1X in a league race? So good job there from Cody Welch. Just getting through that one, especially after he had just gotten damage on the last wreck. But, I'm a little 50-50 on that wreck. It looked like the 8 came down a little bit. It looked like Stephen Hayes just didn't turn into the corner whenever the 8 machine of Kevin Foster thought he was going to. But obviously Kevin got the worst end of it. Hate to see that for the 8 machine going flying through the sky, getting hit heavy by the 69, excuse me. But yeah, hopefully we can get a good, clean green flag run, because these guys were putting on a good show whenever we were getting some green flag laps.
You saw as well the 12 in the midst of all of that. Cody Williams, we took a ride aboard with him briefly. He got punted sideways trying to avoid that mess, and he only just barely managed to get around that whole deal as well. So there's been a lot of big wrecks so far, and I think that one takes the cake. We've had a lot of kind of big multi-car incidents, but I think the critical one, none of them have really involved more than 5 or 6 cars, which is why so much of your field is still intact.
Yeah, a couple of them, the ones that did have more than 5 or 6, it was really just because a couple cars may have gotten just barely tagged and spun through the inside of the backstretch. And at that point, that's basically no contact. That's no accidents. That's no problem. So, even when we do have a big wreck, it's really only majorly affecting 2 or 3 cars maximum, maybe 4. I mean, it hasn't been, crazy in terms of like the volume of cars in a wreck, but every single wreck has been spectacular.
Around the turn numbers 3 and 4. I think at this point, the one that could top many of the spectacular wrecks we've seen so far is a half a field pileup or a flip. At this point, either one of those have a very equal possibility. We'll see if we'll survive this time around, though. Starting lap number 70, 56 laps to go. Green flag is back up in the air.
Really good restart finally from the second place driver of Cameron Caldwell. He's actually going to be door-to-door entering turn number 1 with our race leader, Ethan Moreno. He's actually got the lead just about going into the corner. Can he drive it in deep enough to take it coming off the corner? Ethan Moreno dives it in very deep down to the bottom. It's going to compromise his exit, though, coming off the corner. And Cameron Caldwell is going to have the run down the backstretch if he can hold his left rear quarter panel. It looks like he's going to be able to do it. He comes down trying to side draft just a little bit, breaking the draft from behind. Gets the side draft going on the 22 machine on the bottom, and they're both going to drive it in deep into turn number 3.
Ethan Fonseca Moreno doing a good job on working that inside line this time by. He'll be able to clear Caldwell. He'll track up across the nose, and there's a crossover from Caldwell looking to get the power back down the front straightaway. And a huge block back up to the outside wall. Moreno chopping the nose against a green-white checker on the final lap, while Caldwell fires the inside of turn 1.
My goodness, I said we needed to see a little bit more give, but we're seeing all take towards the front of this race field. Cameron Caldwell looking to the inside of Ethan Moreno, gets just a little bit loose coming off the corner, and he's going to have to settle for P2, going down, back, following in line, in second place right in front of Paul Wilson, who's side by side with Bridger Olson going into turn number 3.
This is getting spicy now as Wilson stuck on the top shelf. Thorpe to the bottom into the outside wall. That's going to be big as Thorpe gets collected in the middle of the field. We got cars scrambling left, right, front, and center all the way down across the front straightaway. And I think, again, somehow, we have piled them up right at the tail end of the field.
Oh, I hate to say it, but Michael Thorpe Jr. just came up the racetrack and pinched the 86 into the fence. Nothing the 86 could do there. He was just a little tight, had to get out of the gas a little bit. And the 34 of Thorpe Jr. he just pushed out to the outside and ran the 86 out of room. There really was not anything Paul Wilson could do there. Again, oh my goodness, the 36 comes in hard. The 3 comes in right after him. And oh my goodness, there's just ARCA brakes going all the way throughout the field from the 30s on back.
Credit to him. I think it's only counted as an ARCA brakes if you hit the wreck. He missed it, so.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
I think he escapes that one by default, as you see a lot of cars that have scrambled the infield. The tracker boats machine in the background there didn't even try. It was like, nope, I'm not gonna play games. I'm gonna hike it straight across the infield grass here and hope for the best.
Yeah, I think he learned from the last wreck. He was like, you know what? The last wreck, I just went through the grass and I didn't hit anything. So I'm just going to do that every time from now on. So good job from Cody Welch. Again, I think he's one of the fastest drivers out here. I want to say he's used his fast repair. We did see him get some left front damage earlier in a wreck. So hopefully he can, find his way back up towards the front. But we are finally starting to see some of the leaders pit on this caution. And I believe it's because we're within the one-stop strategy style of race here. I imagine most of these guys are down to either 1 or 2 tire sets left after this pit stop, and they know that they can make it to the end of the race here on one more stop. So they're coming down, getting their fuel and tires right now.
See a lot of drivers looking to work their way up and through 4 tires and fuel. For a lot of the folks in this match, I'm going to try to track down who it was that ended up kind of running through that mess. I think it may have been Austin McGill. We'll see here in a moment, though, as this is, see all this up in front. Oh, it wasn't Thorpe. You can see the car right behind that red machine, right on the high side. Is that the one? Are we reading that? We don't have a 1 car, do we?
We do. It's Ty Morosco, but he's in a blue car. I can't. Was it Ricky Hart? No, that's a black nose.
No. If you find it, I'll give you the onboard of it.
I want to say it's William Turnbull. I think it's the 4.
Oh, is it William Turnbull? I think you're right. It may very well be. We'll try to get a look with William Turnbull here in that case, and see if he is indeed our mystery driver. He's far enough back. Sees the wreck up in front.
Look at those RPMs. Look at that. He's still above 7K here.
Yep, he's the one. He was the driver, all right.
Oh, my goodness. That could have gone so wrong, but it ended up going so right and looked great from that camera view. My goodness. He just did not care. That was crazy.
Oh, boy.
I'm telling you, these guys have the capability to run a really clean, good race. We saw it for the first 35 laps. I mean, we were on the edge of our seat for the first 35. There were just about no cautions. I think we maybe saw 1 caution for the first 35 laps. Maybe it was 2. But after then, it's just kind of kicked off into just kind of chaos. And I know these drivers have so much talent. We saw it last week at Daytona. We only had 2 cautions at a super speedway. And we saw such an amazing race here for the first 35 laps. I know these drivers have it in them, and I still believe we're going to get a hell of a run to the finish. It's just, when is that last caution going to come out? Are we going to get that green flag run? I really think that they have the potential to do it, even with this massive, massive field. Someone that doesn't want to see that, though, is Austin McGill. He got a lap back on the last one. He's now only 1 down, and he's used his fast repair after being in that big accident, so he wants to see 1 more caution. A couple other guys being 1 lap down. Also, Kevin Foster, Dakota Knoll, and Hunter Karsten all racing for that lucky dog position on this restart.
25 cars, you mentioned, on the lead lap. And at the moment, I believe we've got 32 still in play in total on the race course. Pace cars down into the pit road this time by, once again, in the hands of Olsen. He'll take the field through into the restart zone. Green flag is back up and in the air, and that is a massive launch. And Olsen clear by about 3 car lengths down to turn 1.
Yeah, that might be the biggest jump we've seen from a leader all night. I mean, he's got a huge gap to second. I don't quite know if they're going to have a big enough draft to challenge him down into turn number 3, but eventually they are going to get a pretty big run on him here as Dalton Kilroe is free in second place. Oh, he gets a little bit twitch loop coming out of turn number 2. Almost lost it all by himself as they're side by side for the third position. That's Rick Thompson and Jonathan Canfield there for third place.
And Stephen Hayes also in the fray here as he's going to be looking to work his way up and around the high sides of 3 and 4, the high side, the middle side of 3 and 4 this time around. 4 wide, deeper in the pack again off of turn number 4 as that was Greenwell. I believe that was kind of caught on the outside of that 4 wide move. They're able to 3 wide it out. Now we're 3 wide, 2 rows deep for spots deep in this pack, and got the 21 of Caldwell in the middle, Thorpe on the bottom, and the 86 of Wilson up on the top.
My goodness, 3 wide, 2 wide, just about all the way through the field from about 4th on back, but closer to the front. Dalton Kilroe gets a huge run off of turn number 2, looks to the inside of Bridger Olson for the race lead, going down into turn number 3. The 41 machine drives it deep down into the corner. Bridger trying to keep it on his outside so he can get that momentum coming off of the corner. He's going to do it. It looks like he's going to come off the top side just with a little bit more momentum, but Dalton Kilroe's still going to keep it to his left rear corner panel. Kenny side draft coming down the front stretch. He looks up, just about gets to his outside corner panel. Yes, he gets there. He's side drafted all the way down the front stretch. He's going to have a big run going down into turn number 1 on our race leader, Bridger Olson.
Trying to track clear, he'll fire it down the inside. Olsen working the top. Kilroe trying to keep it pinned down on that inside line. Oh, Stephen Hayes! Huge bobble off of turn number 4. He's able to wrestle it back together. Kilroe tucks her line, and somehow Hayes doesn't junk up the entire field with that one.
Man, Stephen Hayes could have gone all the way to the back of the pack with that crazy mistake, but instead he's still going to stick it out on the outside for P number 3 coming off of turn number 4, and he's going to get a huge run on Dalton Kilroe coming off the corner. Can he make a move if he gets a big enough run? I don't know. Kilroe does have that draft from Bridger Olson in the lead, so it doesn't look like Stephen Hayes is going to get much, but Bridger Olson is still hounding our leader, Dalton Kilroe is still hounding our leader of Bridger Olson, and Stephen Hayes throws it to the outside, entering turn number 1. Dalton Kilroe had to check up just a little bit, and that's going to give the opportunity to Stephen Hayes on the outside.
Jason Greenwell will hit pit road as we watch this battle continue on. Meyer is going to fire down to the inside as he got a bit crossed up on the exit of turn number 2. Kilroe now working with Olsen. They're trying to pull a gap clear of the rest of these drivers, and caution flag is out. I believe Brian D's negative. Lawson potentially having gone around, but we've had some incident on the back straightaway.
Man, we just can't keep it green. It looked like Stephen Hayes was going to have a crazy move to the outside of Dalton Kilroe entering turn number 1. Kilroe had to check up for our race leader just a little bit. Wow, the 3 car just got spun there by Eddie Haggy. I don't quite know what that was about, but Samuel Lawson takes a pretty harmless spin through the inside grass. No harm, no foul. Let's see who got the lucky dog on that one. It looks like it's going to be Austin McGill. Austin McGill is going to be back on the lead lap. We saw him, running towards the top 5 earlier. But I was talking about Stephen Hayes. It looked like he was going to get a huge run there for second place on the outside of 1 and 2. But I think he just got a little bit too high, got a little tight coming off the corner, and was actually able to give Tristan Mayer a run for P3. And Mayer does go through the P3, and Stephen Hayes back to P4 before that caution came out.
At this point, we have hit double digits in the caution periods here. And at this point, I think the big tricky question that everybody's wondering now, will we get a green-white checker? I think odds are, based on how the trends have gone, the answer is yes. We are going to be getting a green-white checker at some point. How many? I think we only have 2.
I still think we're going to get the big green flag run. I really do believe that we're going to get it at some point. We're going to get a 20-25 lap run. I really do. I think this could end up being somewhat strategy dependent now too, because we've got a couple people coming down to make their second to last pit stop. We know on the last caution a couple people came down too. So I think that, our leaderboard is going to keep shuffling towards the end of this run. And we're on lap 80 right now, and we think you can make it about 27 laps-ish. So they've got 45 to go, so you can kind of split that in half around the 22 mark. You can maybe short pit. You can maybe wait a little bit later so you have new tires towards the end of the race. I just still think that green flag run is going to come at some point. It's just, can we get 10 laps in? As soon as we get 10, I really think it's going to turn into 20.
Riding on board with Lawson through this mess. There's the spin to the inside. Quick wheel correction, sends it through the grass and back onto the racetrack. Tell you what, cat-like reflexes to keep that car from rotating around. I thought with how fast it was pirouette, he would have spawned out at least another one more, but he worked the wheels to get that car back underneath him, and I'll give the Gen 7 credit. It has its flaws, yes, both in the real world and in the sim. it's pretty something else to save, though, and we've seen a lot of drivers able to manhandle it back underneath them. I think a lot more effectively than you could in the Gen 6 cars.
Yeah, that's the second one we've caught on broadcast where somebody is just able to do a 360 like that and keep it going straight in the right direction after they complete their rotation. So a good job from a couple of these drivers. Samuel Lawson right there. You know, he didn't do anything wrong. He just got side drafted so heavily going down the backstretch, and Eddie Hagge just misjudged it a little bit and turned him sideways. We are coming to the 1 to go this time by, I do believe. We saw Dalton Kilroe not get a great restart that time, but as soon as he was able to get that draft from Bridger Olsen going down the backstretch and through 3 and 4, he was really able to make a pretty clean move. He just couldn't make it stick completely on the last couple restarts. So I'm really interested to see here if Dalton Kilroe maybe does something a little bit different. Maybe he tries to stick it around the outside of Bridger Olsen instead. I just think that outside line is a little bit more dominant coming off of the corner.
Yeah, I kind of agree with your assessment on that one. I do think the outside line, when it comes to corner exit, nothing beats the outside line. So right now, the main game for drivers going for overtakes is, can they throw it in on the inside hard enough that they can track up and slide up across the nose of the driver they're racing with and cut the momentum off? Because that's the thing. You can pull clear all you want, but sometimes drivers will let you through on the top side because they can set up that slingshot move down the back straightaway or the front straightaway and into the next corner and just take it right back. If you can cut the momentum off, though, that is how you properly execute a pass at a track like the Auto Club Speedway. And it's how you can get around here a lot more effectively, I think, than you can at its sister track, Michigan. Passing at Michigan, a lot harder to do. You almost have to be on the outside to make a move for an overtake at the Michigan International Speedway.
Yeah, you just really couldn't see big slide job style moves at Michigan for whatever reason the last time we went there for NIS. Yeah, that's a good point. And you could really see people throw it into the outside of turn number 1, especially at Michigan, and get to somebody's rear quarter panel. It's just a lot harder to do here. We saw Stephen Hayes do it, and he just got crazy tight coming out of turn number 2. So it's just kind of a, you know, danged if you do, danged if you don't, you know, if you throw it onto the outside or not.
Green flag back up in the air, and it's another great launch from Olsen as he hightails it up and away from the rest of this field. Double file in behind. Olsen now clear by 3. Mayer and Kilroe look to be side by side for the number 2 spot while they get themselves sorted with 2 and 3 wide all the way up and down throughout the midfield.
Mayer slid up the racetrack just a little bit, got a little bit tight. That might open the door for Stephen Hayes to get that 3rd position back. He's got the draft from Dalton Kilroe going down the backstretch, and now he's side by side for the 3rd position. Let's see how hard both of these drivers throw it down into the corner, side by side for the 3rd position. Stephen Hayes drives in really deep down on the outside. Mayer gets just a little bit of tight, and he's going to have to concede the 3rd position to Stephen Hayes.
Working back to the front straightaway as the 26 of Tristan Mayer going to be falling back. How about Welch, who slowly but surely fought his way back up through this field. He's looking for an outside pass now as we work down to the 1 and 2. Got the 24. Luna's going to get run over from behind by Cachado and just able to keep that underneath him. That's going to stack up the whole back portion of the top 10, though.
Man, you were talking about Cody Welch. He has come from the back of the pack, running in P number 6 right now, right behind Tony Hillbrands. Oh, man, we got another accident coming off of turn number 2. That's Eddie Hagge coming off. We saw Austin McGill get a little bit sideways. We're going to have to go back and watch to see what happened on this one coming out of turn number 2.
Curtis Yancey was kind of in the fray of all of this as the tracker, or the Vesa Pro Shops tracker boats machine going to be finding himself down towards the inside line. So we will, as mentioned, jump back. We'll see what happens to Brown, another yellow flag. They're already kind of sideways. This is the tail end of it. There you see Yancey being spun around, and that was the cause for this yellow flag. You see the 57 there spinning around with him. As it was a bit of a wild mess that happened a bit further up the road, and we'll try to see if we can't piece together everything that went down.
I'm starting to lose a little bit of faith in my green flag license, but I'm still going to stick to my guns and say it's going to happen. Yeah, Eddie Hagge got a little loose coming off the corner there. Really sent the, I believe that's 28 into the outside wall there pretty hard. Just unfortunate there for the guys towards the back. No, it's 8. My apologies. A couple of red paint schemes kind of throwing me off a little bit. But, man, they were just about 4 wide coming off the corner.
Right there.
Oh, the 3 actually comes down. Ah, man, maybe even a little bit of net code to get Eddie Hagge out of shape. It looked like he had given just enough room. So, a little unfortunate for him. Unfortunate for us to see an accident like that kind of start like that whenever maybe everybody had it saved. But we're seeing a little bit more split decision on the strategy. Bridger Olsen, our race leader, finally coming down pit road for his second to last pit stop. getting on some new, fresh Goodyear rubber towards the end of this race. Still, all these drivers are going to have to make one more pit stop.
Olsen, Hart, Thompson, Canfield, and more into pit road. So Bridger Olsen gives up the race lead. This is going to be interesting now to see how Bridger Olsen will look to fight his way back through this field. While all this is going on, we're going to take ourselves another jump back, and we'll be back when we are at least 40 laps to go. You're watching the High Tide Racing League MF Racing Designs Cup Series and the Real Earth Films 250 on Green Flag TV. Coming to the conclusion of caution flag number 12 on the evening, and within 40 laps left to go, I do believe at this point, once you pit, you are good to go to the end on fuel, so this is going to make the strategy pretty easy for everybody that's still yet to make one more stop on the day. Dalton Kilroy, the race leader, is taking the outside for the race lead. Stephen Hayes, plus 24 positions after starting, down to 26th. Most spots gained by far of anybody, is also on the front row.
Yeah, Stephen Hayes has done an absolutely fabulous job. I believe he was in an earlier accident, but it was able to get that fast repair going on that machine. Running into the P2 position right now. This is only the second time we've seen somebody take the outside line on the restart from the lead. Dalton Kilroy here this time. So I really want to see Tony Hilbrands there in the 4th position. Last time we saw the 4th position car get an absolutely amazing restart when the leader started on the outside. So I kind of expect Hilbrands to do the same, maybe even clear Stephen Hayes for P2 before they get to the exit of turn number 2.
We'll work our way into turn numbers 3 and 4. Hayes leaning on the door of Kilroy, looking to be able to figure out when that restart is. See if you can't anticipate it to keep Kilroy from getting too far out in front. A pair of MF Racing Design Cup Series machines on the front. Chevy Camaros for the pairing. One white, one red. Green flag back in the air. Kilroy's got the jump, and I don't think Hayes was able to anticipate that as much as he might have hoped.
Yeah, Hilbrands did not do as good of a job as the last time we saw a 4th place car, start on the outside behind the leader. Stephen Hayes able to clear him easily going into turn number 1, and they're going to be single file for the 1st and 2nd position going through turns number 1 and 2. They are still side by side for the 3rd position though, as Tristan Mayer tries to make the bottom side work on Tony Hilbrands.
26 of Mayer working to the inside. Hilbrands up on the top. Now Kilroy under fire by Stephen Hayes into turn numbers 3 and 4. Hayes working to the bottom lane. Kilroy back up on the top. And this time, Stephen Hayes, for the first time all night long, powers through to the lead of the race after starting at 26th.
Stephen Hayes got a great run off of turn number 2, used that draft all the way down the backstretch, even with no help from behind, and was easily able to clear Dalton Kilroy going through turns number 3 and 4. Great power move to the bottom of the racetrack, and he's got clean air for the first time all night as we're still side by side for about the 4th position. Cody Welch trying to make that inside line work against Tristan Mayer, but Tristan's going to keep his right rear quarter panel going down the backstretch, and he's going to keep the run. Oh, someone's further off, down towards the bottom of the apron there. Oh man, I can't tell quite what car that is. That's the 21 car there of Caldwell, sorry. We saw him up front early battling for the lead, and he's gonna fall down to about 14th position. Not too bad, as just about further up in the pack. We see the 24 of EJ Luna clear Ethan Moreno for the 8th position, and they're still side by side between the 22 and 25 for 8th.
Alonso Chicano having a much better night tonight than his season outing at Daytona, where he was the first car to find himself eliminated out of competition, and now looking to continue the fight for spots inside the top 10, trying to see if he can't set up a pass here on Benjamin Lacey. Single file out for the most part down the back straightaway, and I think this is what these guys needed, right? Get themselves single filed out and see what comes about. But now, fight's on for second. Hilbrands is up to second place. Kilrow falling back to third. Potential to fourth as Mayer's got the nose in, and Welch has punched his way back.
Oh, crazy loose out of turn number 4. He makes a crazy save coming off the corner. I thought for sure he was going through the inside grass. He had just taken the second position from Dalton Kilrow after Kilrow got loose out of turn number 2, and he gives it right back in the next corner.
So again, it's all kicking off as it stands here at the Auto Club Speedway, and we'll get a look on what happened coming on out of that corner is in just a couple seconds here. This is again out of that final corner. At least this is going to be working our way through turn numbers 3 and 4. You'll be able to see this huge loose moment. There's the 26 checking up, and right there, Hilbrands. I thought he might have caught the wall for a minute, but no. But I tell you what, again, good save.
Yeah, that could have been way worse. Instead of going from second to about 25th, he only goes back to 4th place, able to keep that machine going forward, still in sight of the race lead. But someone I mentioned earlier, Cody Welch, one of the favorites, I believe, going into tonight, able to pick his way back up to P3 after being involved in a couple accidents as EJ Luna gets a little loose, trying to go to the bottom of Hilbrands, exiting turn number 2. My goodness, they're loose off of every single corner here tonight. Nobody is given an inch as they're 3 wide, entering turn number 3 for the 5th position.
Oh, Chicano gets into Benjamin Lacey into turn numbers 3 and 4, and Lacey almost slamming up into the outside wall because of that. Chicano keeps a pin to the middle. Mayer now works the bottom. Like I said, give an inch, take a mile, and it is only being miles and miles and miles being taken at the Auto Club Speedway. Kilrow to the high side of Stephen Hayes, trying to make a run for the lead.
He's got the position on Hayes coming off of turn number 2, and he's got the help from the 85 machine of Cody Welch going down the backstretch. It looks like both of these drivers are going to clear Stephen Hayes going down into turn number 3. It looked like they were going to start breaking away from the main pack as the main pack was really battling heavily back there, but now they're side by side for second place, and fourth on back are starting to catch up.
Good run so far for Dalton Kilrow. He'll work to the high side of 3 and 4, trying to maintain that run for the race lead. Shoved now by Cody Welch. Will Welch make the look down to the turn number 1? No, he's going to tuck it in line. I think Welch looking to maybe see if he can't work with Stephen Hayes. If they can build out a gap, they can fight amongst themselves, not having to worry about this absolute hornet's nest in behind.
Man, Stephen Hayes got a little twitchy coming off of turn number 2, and he's going to have to give up that position again to Cody Welch, falling back in line in P3. EJ Luna really just needs to see these guys battle up in front of him because he's leading that second pack, and they were single file just a moment ago, but they fan out crazy going into turn number 3 as the leaders are still single file.
Working that front straightaway. Look at the overspeed at the moment that Cody Welch has got. He's going to go for that overtake, though, or is he going to keep it tucked in line? It looks like he'll keep it in line for now. So I think Welch playing the long game here. He's trying to just make sure that they're not at risk of falling back into the main pack here. While, again, further in the back, 2, 3 wide, constantly. If there's ever going to be a caution, it's going to be in this grouping right here.
Oh, my goodness. It is a huge gaggle of race cars there for about the 10th place on back. We see Christopher Bassinger on the bottom there trying to stay in front of Bridger Olsen in the 0-2 machine. We've seen Bridger up front. He's got new tires trying to come back through the field, get back to the lead, but he's just in a huge hornet's nest as they make contact further. The 86 spins through the inside grass, down pit road. That's going to prevent a caution from coming out. There was another machine that got involved in that. I believe that was the 21 machine. I think that's who got into his right rear quarter panel of Caldwell, and they still keep it green, though. Not a major accident. Nobody got sideways, and we're still running.
Well, somebody got sideways, but he's fired it down to the pit road instead of back up across the racetrack, which is what allowed for us to stay green, but we almost got caution flag number 13 that last time by. Paul Wilson, though, it's unfortunate for him. He will have a black flag for speeding in pit road because of that. We'll see if that gets cleared. I'd imagine it would, right? Usually, most leagues will clear black flags. You just spun the pit road. It's not like you have much of a hand to say, and if you're speeding, they're getting an unsafe pit entry, because then you're not even in control of your own car.
Yeah, he's asking about it in the voice chat right now. I think he did the smart decision, too. You know, he didn't come back on the racetrack. He did a very good job. It looks like he is going to get that black flag cleared. I believe they just said yes, sir, in the race chat. So I think that they're going to give him his black flag clear so that he doesn't get a race or a black flag penalty here. Good job by the league admins there. I think that's the right call. He had absolutely nothing to do with that. You know, he just made the smart decision, save the race car, prevent the race from going back onto our 13th caution. So great job there from the driver of the 86 machine.
Ooh, well, again, it gets it gets wild over here in the MF Racer Designs Cup Series. We'll get a look on real quickly on what happened to send Paul Wilson down into the pit road. This is going to be coming on down through the back straightaway all the way around to turn number 3 and 4. You can see how much they're trying to get themselves all sorted. Watch as everything here is going to condense. The 55 is where it's going to start. Makes contact with Bounty, then cuts across the nose of Caldwell, and then how's this for a shot right down in the pit road past the entry camera.
I thought for sure he was going to hit the inside pit wall there, coming down at crazy speed. I actually had originally thought that he was able to go all the way through the pit road, but unfortunately he did get it sideways, so he's going to lose a lot more time. Cody Welch was just about able to get to the outside there of Dalton Kilroe for the race lead, but he just got a little tight coming on the exit of turn number 4, and that's going to give Stephen Hayes a chance to maybe get to his right rear quarter panel entering turn number 1.
Oh, no room. Can't tuck it in there. So Stephen Hayes will fall to, well, not fall. He'll maintain his run in third. Welch and Kilroe still running nose to tail. We work our way off of turn number 2, back down the back straightaway. EJ Luna kind of also in a bit of a fray right in the background here. He just got around Ethan Fonseca Moreno, Michael Thorpe Jr. in the mix of this as well. To the inside of Kilroe. Welch looks for it. Can he stick the nose in? He might just have gotten it there that time by.
Kilroe got just a little tight in the center of the corner, and that's going to give the 85 a chance on the bottom of the racetrack. Can he make it work? Can he clear him going down into turn number 1? It's not going to happen. Kilroe's got the run with the help from Stephen Hayes on the outside. Stephen Hayes looking to the outside now of the number 85 machine for second place.
EJ Luna couldn't make it. He'll have to pit this time by for fuel. Make it to the end of this race. We are running lap number 99. Welch and Kilroe still line astern. Cuts across the bumper of Stephen Hayes and Chicano. Now in the fray as well. We single file out for the top 5. Moreno still side by side with Lacey back down outside of the top 5.
We saw our top 3 just kind of pull away from the rest of the pack early in this run, but as they were battling for the second position, Dalton Kilroe couldn't get the help from behind to really get a lead out to make sure that that top 3 kind of pulled away from the rest of the pack, and the rest of the pack is now right on the bumper of the front 3 leaders. In fact, Stephen Hayes is now going backwards. He's back to 4th. He's back to 5th as Benjamin Lacey looks to his inside, and as Cody Welch looks to the inside for the race lead of Dalton Kilroe.
Kilroe once again having to go on defense. Here's Benjamin Lacey now looking to make it a 3-horse race now for that race lead. Where does Lacey go? He's trying to tuck it into the outside line, but there's no room. And behind him, you've got Moreno looking on that inside lane. Nobody, though, able to go anywhere. 3 wide for that number 3 position. They're going to double it back out when we hit the front straightaway. And Kilroe able to pull clear. Now Welch goes from offense to defense as Bassinger now hits pit road.
We are watching a crazy modified super speedway race here tonight in the Next Gen Series. I just cannot believe what an amazing show these cars put on at the 2-mile racetracks. And Alonso Chicano has come from absolutely nowhere the last couple laps. He started in 27th place, and he's all the way up to 2nd as he clears the 85 of Cody Welch down the back.
Got a bit of contact behind. Lawrence got into Hillbrands. They're able to keep it straight, though, so we'll keep eyes turned on this leading group. To the inside! Oh, my gosh, there's no room, but Chicano able to force the hole up the inside of Kilroe as Wilson now has to figure where to go, and now we're all hitting pit road.
This is the last scheduled green flag pit stop for a lot of these guys. Everybody can make it on fuel from here on out, so we're going to start seeing some split strategy decisions. That was absolutely crazy entering pit road. I didn't hear any calls on the radio. I didn't think anybody was pitting right there, but all of a sudden half the field just pulled down whenever it looked like we were going to get a 4-wide battle for the lead. 3 of them being on the lead lap and 1 lap car coming back through the field.
This is money stop times, right? It is critical, and now we have to see what is the rest of this field going to do, because these guys up at the front here aren't safe either. They also will still have to stop once before we get to the end of this race. Benjamin Lacey leads the way from Morena, from Dees, from Lawson, from Hart, and all of them looking to absolutely go ham on this field here as we work our way in towards turn numbers 3 and 4. Morena will hit pit lane.
That's a little sketchy for Moreno, though. I kind of like how everybody else, they came in a pack, being able to put on the new tires, fill it up with fuel. They're going to, actually be able to make a lot more time, kind of having, a pusher, right? If you've got a partner coming down pit road, then you have a better chance of making better lap time throughout the lap. Moreno coming down by himself, that might just cost him, the chance with the lead pack.
Well, you mentioned you still have faith you'll be able to make a long green flag run, and I think with the fact that we just lost half the field in a pit stop run, my faith has been restored in your ambitions there on that green flag run. And I think we are going to get that one here as Lacey will hit pit road, and Olsen in right behind. Whoa, Olsen head of steam. He's just able to lock it down right entering pit road. That allows Brian Dees to lead his first lap of the night.
That was an awesome, awesome pit entry from the 0-2 machine. Coming down, Bridger Olsen, we've seen him be one of the fastest cars throughout the entire course of the event, and he had an absolutely crazy pit entry. You know, I was worried about Ethan Moreno, but it looks like he actually comes out ahead of the main pack that had pitted on the lap before. Maybe them all coming down together just kind of slowed everybody up on the pit entry, and Ethan Moreno was able to maximize pit entry and get out ahead of that entire pack.
Well, Moreno was also faster in pit road by almost 2 seconds. Because he came in by himself, he didn't have to
I'm sorry for cutting you off there. I just could not imagine more contact as the 3 machine of Samuel Lawson gets into the side of Brian Dees. We saw 2 points of contact for the race lead coming down the front straightaway.
Brian Dees cannot catch a break there. He got hip checked twice on the front stretch. But going back to what I was mentioning before, Moreno, because he came in by himself, right, he didn't have to check up extra like a lot of everybody else did. Because when you're slowing down in the middle of a pack, you slow down a lot more than you actually have to because you're trying to find your way in a pit road around everybody else. That, and you're also braking and turning on everybody else in pit road. You don't have to do that when you're by yourself. That's why it was so much quicker by a good 2 seconds. We've had trouble for Eddie Hagen, by the way. Haggy has found himself sideways or stopped somewhere on the racetrack and trying to get an eye on where Haggy is as a result of all this. There is no yellow flag, but he did find himself going around. So we'll get a quick look here if we can find this here, and we'll see what happened to the number 57. 97. Whoa! Oh, he's lost him on pit exit.
Good job of him to keep it off of the racetrack, make sure another caution doesn't come out. I'd also like to point out, we saw Austin McGill get in an accident earlier in this event, had to actually tow back to the pit road because his car was so destroyed, lost 2 laps on the racetrack as everybody else came back around. He was able to take his fast repair, take his 4 tires, and he is now in the race lead in front of lap car Paul Wilson and Samuel Lawson in 3rd place. Who's that in the 17 on the bottom? That's Brian Dees coming back after we saw contact earlier from him, and he's now looking to the inside for the lead.
Well, remember, he may still be yet to pit as well, which could very well, having to say how this pans out as Lawrence Lawson forces Wilson up the track. We go 4 for a brief second before we double it or triple it back out to 3. That's the big ticket question, right? While Austin McGill and Brian Dees are fighting for the lead, yes, we do believe at least that they have 1 more pit stop left in them as well. They're going to make contact again in 3 and 4. Lacey will unlap himself from the inside.
My goodness, this is just so hard racing between, some leaders that haven't pitted yet, some guys on the fresh tires just coming through, and there's a big pack of cars that are about to unlap themselves here. We've got Ethan Moreno unlapping himself now. Cody Welch is going to be next. Dalton Kilroe, Bridger Olsen, all in this next pack here, just closing down on our leaders, trying to get that lap back before a caution comes out.
If a caution comes out, have faith. You're the one that was looking to push for that green flag run.
You're not wrong, but just with how hard they're racing, whether they're on the lead lap or a lap down, I just cannot believe nobody has spun somebody else here towards the end. We did see the 97 wreck coming off of pit road, but other than that, I mean, it's been really clean. Oh man, Cody Welch is trying to get to the outside of Austin McGill. He's really trying to get that lap back from Brian Dees really early. Bridger Olsen's getting a push there from the 34 machine of Michael Thorpe Jr., but they're actually going to be just about 3 wide.
Oh boy.
Entering turn number 1.
Well, we almost had it there, but they're able to triple it back out. It's not a statement I say all that often, and we're hearing it now. Whoa, Wilson into Dees, hard to the outside wall. Dalton Kilroe junks into the outside wall. That's going to be game over for the 41. I believe he can already use the fast repair, and even if he doesn't, that's no caution. Look at the right front, though. It is demolished.
Oh, and he just lost it all by himself, too. He was trying to get around Austin McGill, who had not pitted yet. He was just pinching the car on his inside, and he just got loose coming off the corner, put it to the outside wall instead of wrecking the field. It's such a heartbreak for Dalton Kilroe. He was towards the front of the field. He was fighting for the lead for the last 20 laps, and he has absolutely destroyed the right front of that 41 machine.
Man, that is such a shame for Dalton Kilroe. He was looking to have such a good run, and it falls apart in the last 25 laps of this race. Well, we'll be able to turn our eyes back up now to this little battle, mini battle for the lead with Lawson, Dees, and McGill all line astern. Dees has started the pull and clears. This is really now a fight for second. And finally, Brian Dees will hit pit road. And it looks like Lawson will be able to lead his first laps of the night. This is the big battle of the moment, though, between Thorpe, Olsen, and Mayer.
My goodness, this race has just turned on its head. So many people on different pit strategies, different tire strategies. Can the guys pitting right now get back out onto the racetrack with just a little bit of a gap to the lead cars? I don't think they're going to come out in front because those lead cars put on those new tires. Were able to run crazy fast laps in the draft, and they really weren't fighting each other for a long time. So it's really dependent here. Austin McGill, Brian Dees, can they get out of pit road and just blend with those lap cars or just a couple seconds behind? Because if they're just a couple seconds behind, they might be able to run them back down. But the leaders are coming off of turn number 4 right now, or that lap pack that has unlapped themselves, and Brian Dees is still on pit road.
Dees will just leave pit road. He saw him at the tail end of shot. It was not even a competition. They're in a different zip code by the time they're able to fire themselves back out around through turn numbers 1 and 2. So Olsen picks up 10th overall by chop to the nose of Michael Thorpe Jr. I believe, though, that we're looking at Ricky Hart Jr. To potentially be the race leader as it stands. He's been on lap 105, and he is well clear of Lacey. He pitted with just 20 laps to go.
I do want to point out we were talking more about Brian Dees because he came down pit road first out of those couple cars that came down there at the end, but Austin McGill actually jumped him in pit road and is only a couple seconds off of the back of the main pack. He's probably got, he absolutely has the best tires in the field. It's just a question of can he make down or cut down that gap over the course of the next 13 laps. He's got a 4-second gap to Ricky Hart Jr., who will assume the lead after everybody else pits. Can he run down those 4 seconds on the fresher tires, and can he pass the entire pack of 5, 6, 7 cars in front of him before he can even challenge Ricky Hart?
I think that's the big question now, right? Do these guys have enough to try to run them down, the front runners, to challenge for the lead? I don't think they do. I think at this point, we're seeing your field set in about as set in stone as you're going to be able to get. We're just waiting now on Thompson and Williams, along with Marasco and Kentfield to come to pit row. We've already got Lawson pitting in now from the number 3 spot as he'll be down into pit row. We're currently watching Benjamin Lacey as he just got around Moreno. Now within 0.8 of a second of Ricky Hart Jr. Hart's not lead isn't secure yet, and here we go to the inside as Lacey. And that is not Ricky Hart Jr. That's another red car.
Now we've finally gotten this strung out after the green flag pit stops. We've seen a lot of shakeup throughout the field, a lot of people on different style of tires. Can anybody in the top 5 stretch it on fuel? I don't believe so. I think we're going to have to see all 4 of those drivers come down pit road one more time. At this point, I feel like they're kind of just losing time being out on the old tires unless they're trying to make it, but I just don't see that happening. As we look back further, Ricky Hart's still in the 6th position. He will assume the lead after a little while. 85 of Cody Welch is in, relative P4, trying to make up time. Michael Thorpe just behind him in P5, and it does look like Austin McGill might just be a little bit too far off the back of this pack to be able to make those new tires work well, but the rest of the pack is really working together, trying to catch Ricky Hart Jr.
Oh, a little bit of a bow there for Thorpe Jr. coming on out of turn number 4 down the front straightaway as he is shoved by Bridger Olsen. And we again look up front to Ricky Hart Jr., we believe to be the net race leader, the number 28. There is Benjamin Lacey, first car in line, down on that inside lane. I think if Moreno can get up to Lacey, they'll be able to work together a bit more. But you see right there, see how he's weaving across? That's something we often see in IndyCar racing when they come down to the ovals, particularly in the Indy 500. That right there is called breaking the draft. And by doing that, by weaving across the track like that, he's making it much harder for Lacey to try to pick up the draft of him, even if Lacey's the one to follow him in his tail.
Yeah, it definitely makes it a little bit harder, but I feel like Ricky Hart just really undercut everybody else by a couple laps to be able to, kind of pick up a little bit of time on the racetrack throughout the rest of the run.
Well, he didn't take tires. You only 10 seconds in the box. Everybody else is 14.
My goodness, then he's got to be struggling at this point. This track is so abrasive. We've seen him lose chunk of times to Benjamin Lacey and Ethan Moreno, who not only have fresher tires, but are also drafting with each other up to Ricky Hart. And as soon as they catch the draft of Ricky, I just don't think that Hart is going to be able to put up any type of defense with the old tires. He's just going to have to kind of fall in line and hope that he can hold on to a top 5 finish. Oh, they're wrecking behind him into turn number 4. I think we're going to see our caution here. I don't know if that was off the nose of Ethan Moreno or what, but Tristan Mayer A couple of cars get through. I can't tell if it was a lap car. It's Bridger Olsen. Bridger Olsen's right front.
Oh,
and Michael Thorpe Jr. towards the outside of the wall. Both took heavy contact into the outside wall, and their races are going to be effectively over.
No caution. We keep it green. They were able to keep it up there, and good. I want to give just a huge credit there to Thorpe. Absolutely could have turned down across the field, but he kept it against the outside wall until there was a gap. That is a class act right there, and I cannot give him enough credit for that. So we will try to get a look back as to what just went down, because it got a bit hectic there in the midst of all this. So this is coming off of turn number 4. This is well, this has already happened, so I'll back this up a bit. We'll try to back this up a bit further. This is there again, tail end. One more time, maybe. There it is. Oh, hip check by the 26, and wow, hard to the wall for Wilson.
Poor Thorpe just couldn't hang on to it. Once these cars are sideways, they are so hard to save in the middle of the corner. We've seen a couple people get sideways, have it almost saved for 5-10 seconds at a time. They're just sideways throughout the whole corner after a little bit of contact. That time it was a little bit shorter, and you just can't hold on to it once you've lost the right rear of these next-gen machines. It's just so hard to be able to get that car back under you. But I'm really impressed with Ricky Hart. He had been losing time, lap after lap, but it's kind of stabilized here with 7 laps to go.
And now he has officially cycled through to take the race lead of this race. Now, if I'm Benjamin Lacey, I'm trying to communicate with the guys behind, right? Like, we can get this guy. We got 7 laps left to go, 6.5 now. If they can link up and bump draft down the straights, they can absolutely get Ricky Hart Jr. by the end of this race. There's no reason to say why they can't. They all pitted about the same laps. In fact, Ricky Hart Jr. was the last one to pit in this group. So there's still always a chance. The gap's under 0.6 of a second. They're well within drafting range.
Yeah, they're getting just a little bit of a pull here. Benjamin Lacey, once he gets that draft, if he can just get a good run off of one of these corners, he's going to have a huge slingshot down one of these huge straightaways. Can he make the move on Ricky Hart? Can Ricky Hart do anything to block him? I didn't think that he would be able to, but he's running really competitive lap times up front with no help whatsoever. I don't know if it's just the clean air keeping him in it or what it is, but he is actually running really good lap times compared to the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place drivers.
Lacey closes the gap down to half a second and still falling down. The gap is going to be down to 0.4 of a second. This battle is very much on for the lead of this race, of race number 2. What does Lacey have for Ricky Hart Jr.? Can he close him down and then can he get around these folks in behind? Got to fight further down the field. Samuel Lawson, Stephen Hayes, and Cameron Caldwell all tucked in a battle as well. This is for the number 12 spot.
Yeah, they're side by side for 12th place. That's Lawson on the inside trying to get past Stephen Hayes. And now Stephen Hayes is going to be in a battle with the 21 machine of Caldwell. Can he hold that outside line and just get the draft going down the backstretch? It looks like he will. Caldwell will probably just have to fall into line here, but he might be looking for the side draft going in the corner. No, he falls back in line. Maybe just to push Stephen Hayes up to the 3 machine, trying to challenge him for the 12th position.
At this point, you do what you got to do, right? You're trying to get whatever spots you can get here. As Moreno trying to see if he can help Lacey to pull up to the back end of Ricky Hart Jr. You've still got 0.4 of a second, but now only 4 laps to go. You got to be a 10th quicker now. Every single lap if you want to get by him. This fight's not yet over. There's still the possibility. Oh, Moreno, don't try to go for the overtake. Give him the bumper. You're not going to get the lead. The moment Moreno tries to make a move for position here, this fight's over for the lead.
Absolutely. If Moreno puts it to the outside or the inside of the 7 of Benjamin Lacey and just doesn't push him down a straightaway, the side draft will take both of them out of contention to win this race. But Benjamin Lacey is firmly within the draft of the leader now, just 4.5 tenths of a second back, coming with 3 laps to go. Can he get to the back bumper of Ricky Hart Jr.?
The gap is closing in all the while, down to 3.5 tenths by the time he reached turn 1 this time around. Moreno trying to push that gap ever closer, while Cody Welch has slipped back to 4th. He's effectively now out of this fight, making it now just a 3-horse race for the race lead. 3.5 tenths as we enter turn number 3.
They have cut down that gap. That's another 1/10 of a second through that half of the racetrack. Can Benjamin Lacey get the run that he needs to challenge Ricky Hart, or will Moreno put it to his inside coming off of turn number 4? Will he dive back to the outside? No, Moreno's actually going to stick it to the inside. Does he get there? Does he get there for the side-by-side for second? Coming to 2 to go.
Oh, I think that might be it. They gave up too much in 3 and 4 that time by. Moreno's going to send them to the inside, allowing Ricky Hart Jr. to try to pull clear. Lacey fighting that high side still, trying to keep himself clear, but look at already the gap building up to what it was almost 10 laps ago now, showing how all of the progress was just lost in a heartbeat.
If he would have just chosen to push him down the front straightaway, they could have cut that gap to 0.2 of a second entering turn number 1. But instead he put it side by side going down the front straightaway, the longest straightaway on the racetrack as they come to the white flag.
White flag this time by. Ricky Hart Jr. will take it up. 2 miles left to go in the Real Earth Films 250 at the Auto Club Speedway. 0.4 of a second back to Benjamin Lacey. He's just got to run these next few corners clean.
Can Benjamin Lacey get a big enough run coming off of turn number 2 to have anything to do in turn number 3 with the big draft down the backstretch? He doesn't have the help from behind like he needs. Moreno is just not on his bumper, and he's just not going to get the run that he needs to be able to challenge Ricky Hart going into the final corner.
Entering turn numbers 3 and 4. No competition. Moreno going to look to the inside of Lacey. He can't get there. For Ricky Hart Jr., it's been such an up and down day. It'll end on a high, though. He'll exit turn numbers 3 and 4. Ricky Hart Jr. wins in Fontana.
What an amazing strategy call there from Ricky Hart Jr. Taking gas only on that pit stop, getting a big lead that he just did not give up. As we see a heavy battle there between EJ Luna and Sean Britt for the 9th position. Looks like it's going to be Sean Britt coming through to take that position. Oh man, what an amazing race that we saw from Ricky Hart. We saw him in multiple accidents towards the beginning of this race, and he had an epic comeback, epic strategy call to be able to put him towards the front of this field late in the race.
Cody Welch giving a congratulatory bump. Austin McGill will do the same on the back straightaway as the fireworks go off from the Auto Club Speedway. It was a trying race tonight. It was a race of attrition. It had its highs, it had its lows, but my goodness, what a way to end out what has been a phenomenal drive for everybody involved in the Real Earth Films 250. We'll work out of turn number 4 as most of the drivers are going to get set to pull down to the inside line. Hart, meanwhile, will work his way back around to the front straightaway, and he will get set to set California light with tire smoke as he'll burn it down on the front stretch.
Man, I said I still had a little bit of faith we were going to get that long green flag run, and we did end it on a 40-lap green flag run. I knew these guys had it in them. I saw the potential through the beginning of this race that we could get that clean green flag run, and we saw a little bit of strategy come into play that wasn't necessarily tire strategy. I know he didn't take tires, so maybe you could say that, but you know, whenever I think tire strategy, I kind of think of tire sets and how many you can put on through the race. But Ricky Hart Jr. just deciding to go with a fuel-only stop on his last stop of the race, takes the lead and never looks back.
We'll be able to take a look down at your official post-race results here tonight from what was an absolutely barn burner of an evening over here at the Auto Club Speedway, where we have seen the likes of Ricky Hart Jr. take the race lead. Benjamin Lacey will finish this race in second. Ethan Moreno was in third with Cody Welch in fourth. Austin McGill was in fifth. Tony Hillbrands brings back in sixth with Tristan Mayer in seventh. Brian Dees was eighth. Sean Britt was ninth. EJ Luna will wrap out the top 10, Austin.
11th place was Cody Williams. 12th, Samuel Lawson. 13th, Cameron Caldwell. 14th was Rick Thompson. 15th, Stephen Hayes. 16th, Ty Marasco. 17th was Christopher Bassinger. 18th, Jonathan Canfield. 19th, Will Turnbull. And 20th place was Eddie Hagee.
Paul Wilson will bring it up in that 21st position. The first driver 1 lap down. Dalton Kilroy will be down to 22nd. Kevin Foster was 23rd. Michael Thorpe Jr., Bridge Rolson, Jason Greenwell, and Hunter Karsten, the last of the cars that finished this race. David Leakey, the first driver to enter the used car lot, along with Alonso Chicano and Curtis Yancey.
31st position is going to be Connor Gibson. 32nd, Dawson Guzik. 33rd, Dakota Knoll. 34th, Derek Paulson. 35th, Richard Holland. 36th was Mitch Diamond. 37th was Nick Nickerson. And 38th, rounding out our field tonight, Adam Kuhn.
Nickerson and Kuhn opting not to even make the race start here in this one. They did not turn a lap. They will not be scored as a result with their points. But my goodness, again, what a hectic night we have seen over here from the Auto Club Speedway. And we're going to be able to take a chat with all the drivers that helped to put on what was an absolutely phenomenal race and was nothing short of an absolute thriller from start to finish. And we'll try to hunt down first the the race winner tonight, Ricky Hart Jr., the driver for GFR. We will be able to get a chat with him as he is going to join us now. Ricky Hart Jr. will take us up here from Victory Lane. And, well, Ricky, my goodness, what a night for you as you're able to come home. You take home the race win on a great strategy call. Kind of walk us through it.
I'm sorry, I just got back. My
you
bad.
are all good.
Walked out real quick. I walked back. Strategy call. Yeah, I have to give it up to my teammate Kevin Foster. He kind of pit on lap 85. Coming there with about 100 laps, 25 to go. Everybody started pitting, and I was like, well, I got to go in. I got to stop at least one more time. Should I just take fuel, or should I take two? Because I knew it was on fresh tire. He said take two right sides. So we took two right sides, and it worked out. I really thought Ben was going to get me there at the end. He was catching. It was like a 10th a lap. Then it started slowing down, and I started building the gap up a little bit. But we made it. It's been a while. Feels so good to be in victory lane.
Whew. Well, you're able to take home that race win, and it was not without its challenges. We saw the yellow flag come out numerous times throughout the middle portion of that race. Kind of walk us through what it's like having to kind of dodge all the chaos and make sure you're still in the position to contend by the end.
Oh my gosh, it was brutal. Lots of chaos, lots of guys out there. You know, we're all new season. We're all racing together for the first time, a lot of us. So we're just out there stretching our legs, learning each other. It's just part of it. It's the growing pains. I did get collected in one early, and then got it collected in another. Thought I was going to have to, call her quits for the day, but came in, got her fixed up, got back out there, got her lap back, and got to the front.
Well, you gambled on a pit strategy today, and it certainly seemed to work out for you, which means your luck's looking up when we get set to go to the gambling capital of America, Las Vegas Motor Speedway, 1 week from now. What's going to be the game plan to see if you can't go back-to-back?
I'm learning this car. This is the first season that I've been running these cars. I can't believe I just did that. That's awesome. But same thing, strategy calls, try to keep her clean. I know these growing pains are typically going to last about 5 weeks till we really know how everybody races. So, I mean, it's going to be it for a while, keeping it clean, getting it to the front, and just right strategy call.
Well, we wish the best of luck then when we go racing 1 week from now in Las Vegas, Nevada. For now, congratulations once again on that hard-earned race win. We'll let you go back to celebrating.
Thank you, brother. Big Red Propane. Go get them.
That was one Ricky Hart Jr. joining us up here in the broadcast booth from Victory Lane. We will get set to move things on down to Benjamin Lacey, the number 2 finisher. If we are able to track him down, I don't believe we'll be able to do so, so we will instead try to look out for one Ethan Moreno here in this one, as, well, don't think we're going to have our number 3 finisher either, so that's looking to be about it then for us here for our podium interviews in this one. But again, what a race we've seen so far tonight. And Austin, round 1, absolutely incredible. We saw a lot of clean racing. I think we've seen the other side of the extreme here tonight with a lot of over-aggressive racing. So we've seen 2 extremes. Is Las Vegas where we finally see the happy medium?
I'd probably say no. I think we saw on the bigger racetracks here tonight. And, I know Las Vegas is a little bit smaller, but the style of racetracks where you can really build runs on each other, like the 1.5 miles, like the 2-mile racetracks in the next gen car. I think that what we saw tonight is going to become relatively standard. I do think we'll see less cautions, right? I don't think we're going to see quite 12 or 13 like we saw tonight. I think we might half that. But I mean, even with the cautions, whenever we had green flag running, we just had such good racing throughout the field. We saw the first 35 laps, hard, clean racing throughout the entire field. And we saw the last 40 laps. We had an awesome strategy race to the end. Different people on different strategies, whether it be no tires, 2 tires, 4 tires. We ended up figuring out our race winner was actually on 2. Great strategy call from Ricky Hart. And I hope that we see more strategy throughout this year, throughout this series. We just got such a good showing here tonight for 75 of the 125 laps. I can forgive 50 laps of caution if the other 80 laps are really good, really clean, hard racing. And that's what we got here tonight.
It's going to be an intense ride for everybody when we get set to go racing 1 week from now at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And for us here tonight, that's going to close things out. Be sure to tune in Tuesday nights where myself and Delacoy will take you to Milwaukee for the OMSRL Xfinity Series race number 7. Of course, Austin and I We'll be back on Wednesday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern for the Beer League Racing, their second race, still down under in Australia, and now at the fearsome Mount Panorama Bathurst Circuit. The Speed Cup Series will get set to lock out the top 16 in their playoff season as they'll close things out at Daytona International Speedway. And then, as always, the TNGG IEL Truck Series will go racing for the Lobster State 100 over on Saturday. Myself and DJ Clark will take you that race from the Hampshire Motor Speedway. From now, though, from Fontana, California, thank you so much for joining us from what was an absolutely incredible night of racing for both the Pro Kart Concept Pro Challenge Series and, of course, here in the HTRL MF Racing Designs Cup Series. My name has been Ola Rempel. Thank you all so much for joining us. We'll see you all next week when we go racing in Nevada.